The following broadcast contains public domain courtroom footage, commentary, and legal analysis. This content is presented under the Fair Use Doctrine as defined by 17 U.S.C. 107 and is protected by multiple Supreme Court rulings, which you see below. This stream is transformative, educational, and journalistic in nature. It includes original commentary, trial breakdowns, legal interpretation, and critical analysis, not raw redistribution. We do not claim ownership over any public domain footage, and all use is strictly within legal bounds. If you're watching this content, you're engaging in a protected, transformative experience, grounded in law, never in speculation. And if anyone has a problem with that, take it up with Campbell, Brady, Miranda, and Irvin. Remember, guys, justice always works better when we watch. So keep watching. See you in the courtroom.
Alternate jurors, and I'm not sure it's worth even delaying. I am inclined to think if she's at some point she's going to realize this, and I don't see how she could be fair and impartial. So I am going to excuse Ms. Skates, who happens to be juror number 32 anyway. So she's that won't leave an obvious hole in our jury. So I'm going to excuse her. Juror number 32. Maybe.
She's 16 now, I think.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, so that does leave my apologies. So, okay, any other issues?
One last quick item is we received Your Honor's ruling on the issue of the indication of silence in this case in two things. One's logistical, one's just a quick matter that I want to make sure the record is clear on.
Yeah. And let me, I was thinking about this last night too, and I just wanted to clarify that the last substantive sentence where I said, hey, you can explain this at trial, that was based on the fact, as I said earlier in the order, that Mr. Kelly did explain his invocation or his silence. It wasn't simply mute silence as it was in, I think, most, if not all, of the other cases that we discussed. He explained his silence, and you're obviously, if the statement comes in, that will be in evidence, and you can argue from it. But that was my explanation. That's what I wanted to clarify.
Thank you. I understand. One thing I wanted to do, as we've talked about, especially in the case of this gravity, it's important that I make the record clear at all times. So what I wanted to, I guess this would formally, what I'm doing now in clarifying the record, would also be titled a ora tennis motion to reconsider your ruling. I just want to make sure that Your Honor knows that part of the defense argument here is that these EMTs, when they come there, are not just simply private citizens, but they also carry an indicia of authority. They have uniforms. They're, aligned with the police. They're there. So we believe that even more so that they, while they are not employed by the police department, with that indicia of authority, that official trappings that come with them, the fact that they are adjacent to police officers in most every circumstance, carries with it those same compelling constitutional factors which should indicate to the court that any indication of silence in the presence of those law enforcement adjacent individuals should also be protected. So I just want to make the record clear that's part of our argument and ask you to reconsider on that basis.
Okay. Well, I'll just say briefly that argument had not been presented to me before the decision, and the question that I had at the oral argument was, is there any suggestion that these were state actors? And the answer was no. Even, however, if that argument had been raised, I think I would have said, well, that raises the same kind of line drawing question that I referred to in other parts of my, what is adjacent to, and I just think on all the facts of this case, the probative value, and as I thought more deeply about these issues, the Doyle issues and the Remick issues and the Brown issues, I think it really, what they ultimately boil down to is what's the real probative value of these invocations or or non-statements or statements. And I think in the Doyle cases where the court used the term insolubly ambiguous, I don't, again, that's something that you're free to argue and elicit anything on that, but I don't think it would change my ruling, or it does not change my ruling. So, Attorney McKeon, if there's anything you'd like to say, you're welcome to say.
The only thing I'll add to that, Your Honor, is we did cite, with respect to this, this argument today, that they carry an indicia of authority that they could, and they're not necessarily agents of government, but be seen as such. We did cite the case in our motion, State v. Newcomb. It's 679 SE 2D 675. Even in that case, there was an EMT who was an off-duty police officer.
Yeah.
Was acting as an EMT at the time. The court found that that was still admissible because he was not acting in his role as a police officer. He was acting in his role as an EMT. So I think the fact that they were there in near law enforcement doesn't change the analysis.
Yeah. Okay. So anything
Appreciate you
further?
considering that argument, Your Honor.
Yep. Thank you.
The other is the logistical piece, which is just the defense request for a standing objection to the state's line of questioning. In other words, so when the state elicits that evidence, or in their opening when they talk about his indication of his right to silence, we've objected to it, so that we don't have to stand up, object, keep renewing the objection every time the state talks about it. If Your Honor would grant us a standing objection to that line of questioning.
Sure. I think is there a law on that, whether a motion in limine is sufficient to preserve the objection, or does it have to be renewed at trial? I would think that.
I believe, I don't know off the top of my head, I believe there is case law that it's, you don't have to note your objection continuously through the trial.
Right.
Just dotting my I's and crossing my T's.
Sure. No, I understand completely, but it just occurred to me that sounds like a familiar, territory that I've seen others trod before. So, but unless the state has any reason to resist that request, I'm gonna grant it. So, all right. So you have your objection to that is noted.
And I appreciate your patience.
All right. Thank you. No. These are all very important things. The court does have certain logistical. We want to get the trial going, but not at the expense of fairness and giving everybody the appropriate opportunity to argue their note and argue their objections. I think I've tried a case with Attorney Newkirk before. I don't remember trying one with Attorney McKeon or Attorney Hinckley, but when the jury comes in, we'll go through, Madam Clerk will give them their oath, we'll have the charges read in the usual manner, and then I have a 10, 15-minute preliminary instruction. No substantive law, nothing peculiar to this case. It's all boilerplate stuff that I read to the jury in every case, just as to how the trial is going to be ordered. Don't put any significance on objections. Lawyers are supposed to object. Statements of counsel are not evidence, et cetera, et cetera. It's all right out of the pattern instruction. So that'll take about 10, 15 minutes, and then after that we'll go into openings. So counsel are aware of the media feed-in to these to the microphone, so you have to hit that mute button. Just remind everybody of that. So I will just give the jurors a short instruction that there is media here, but they can rest assured that their privacy is not compromised in any way by that. The court rule prohibits, and that they're not to pay any attention to it, or they're not to be influenced in any way by it.
Thank you.
All right. Okay. You can bring the jurors in.
Judge, maybe we just have a minute just to set this up so I'm not.
Oh yes, certainly.
So
Just so long as just so long as it doesn't interfere with my view of the jurors while I'm giving them these preliminary instructions. After that's fine. That'll be fine. Yep.
Oh, that's fine.
And you can move it slightly. If you could just move it back like 2 feet, just so that the juror at the end is not blocked. And then you can move it. You can just adjust it when you walk up. Okay.
It's going to stay like this, I think. So I sat there, the jury can see it.
Yep. Very good. Silence in the court, please. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. You may be seated. It's very good to see all of you. I thank you for being here early. Believe it or not, we are starting more or less on time. I had some, there's always little matters that sometimes I need to discuss with the attorneys, but very much appreciate your service, your punctuality, and being here today. So today we're going to start our trial. We're going to begin with Madam Clerk administering the oath to you and reading the charges to you. While she does that, I do want you to bear in mind that the charges themselves, and you'll hear the charges being read, the charges themselves are not evidence. And Mr. Kelly is presumed innocent of these charges. The fact that he has been charged with crimes is not evidence of guilt. The charges are just the formal way of bringing him to trial here today. So that's when Madam Clerk reads those charges. Please remember that. The other thing preliminarily that I want to tell you about, you may notice that there is a camera in the courtroom, and I want to assure you that the camera does not compromise your privacy as jurors or as citizens in any way. The cameras under the Constitution and under the rules of our court are permitted to be here. I'm aware of them, but the rules prohibit the camera from making any images or taking any images of any of you. So the camera, and there can be significant punishment and penalties if that rule is not complied with. So I want you all to be assured of that, and I don't want you to you don't need to pay any attention. It's not going to move or anything. I don't want you to pay any attention to that, to the camera. It's not to influence you in any way. As I've said already numerous times, your decision in this case is to be based solely on the evidence that you hear here. So with that, Madam Clerk, if you would.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, will you please stand? I'm going to read you an oath. Will you raise your right hands? And at the conclusion of the oath, please say, I will. You solemnly swear or affirm that you will carefully consider the evidence and the law presented to you in this case. You will deliver a fair and true verdict as to the charge against the defendant, so help you God.
I will.
Okay, you may be seated. Mr. Kelly, will you please stand and face the jury? I'll now read the charges in this case. Excuse me. Docket number 212-2023 CR 337, charge ID number 2159412C, alleges that William Kelly, with a date of birth of November 24th, 1995, in the state of New Hampshire, on or about December 17th, 2023, at Ossipee in the county of Carroll, aforesaid, with force and arms, did commit the crime of second-degree murder, contrary to RSA 631(1)(b)(1)(b). In that William Kelly recklessly caused the death of Christine Falzone under circumstances manifesting an extreme indifference to the value of human life, to wit, by means of multiple blunt force injuries. Said acts being contrary to the form of the statute, in such case made and provided, and against the peace and dignity of the state. Docket number 212-2023 CR 337, charge ID number 2186362C, alleges that William Kelly, with a date of birth of November 24th, 1995, in the state of New Hampshire, on or about December 17th, 2023, at Ossipee in the county of Carroll, aforesaid, with force and arms, did commit the crime of second-degree murder, contrary to RSA 631(b)(1)(b). In that William Kelly recklessly caused the death of Christine Falzone's fetus, gestationally aged 20 weeks or more, under circumstances manifesting an extreme indifference to the value of human life, to wit, by means of multiple blunt force injuries causing Christine Falzone's death. Said acts being contrary to the form of the statute, and such cases made and provided, and against the peace and dignity of the state. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, Mr. Kelly has pled not guilty to these charges. He puts himself upon his country for trial, which country you are. The Attorney General, acting for the state, has joined the issue, and you are to say by your verdict if Mr. Kelly is guilty or not guilty of the offenses of second-degree murder for which he stands charged. Hearken to the evidence. Mr. Kelly, you may be seated.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Ladies and gentlemen, now you've heard you've been sworn, you've heard the charges. Now I'm just going to give you just a short explanation of how the trial is going to proceed and a little explanation of your role as jurors as compared to mine as the judge and the attorneys. Ladies and gentlemen, you as jurors are the sole judges of the facts of this case. Ultimately, it will be your job to decide the truth of what happened here. The who, the what, the where, the when, and the how. And you'll do that based on all the evidence that's presented to you during the trial. So first, you'll need to listen very carefully and with an open mind to all the evidence. Then, when all of the evidence is in, it will be my job to instruct you on the law that applies to the case. You'll then apply that law as I give it to you in my instructions to the facts of the case as you find them to be, and in that way, you will reach a fair and just verdict. So, as I've said, what you'll base your verdict on is the evidence that is presented during the trial. Evidence can come in a variety of forms, but there are two main kinds of evidence. The first is witness testimony. Witnesses will be called to the stand during the trial. That's this seat right here. The attorneys will ask them questions, and the witnesses will give their answers to those questions. What the witnesses say in answer to the questions is their testimony. That testimony is evidence. You can and should use that in reaching your verdict. Another kind of evidence is exhibits. Exhibits are things like documents, photographs, recordings, tangible objects, and so forth. Things that they will be labeled or numbered, and they will be offered by the parties into evidence during the trial. The exhibits that I admit into evidence are also things that you can and should consider in reaching your decision in this case, just the same as the witness testimony. Some of the exhibits that come into evidence may go into the jury room with you at the end of the case for you to have and consider in your deliberations. The trial is going to begin in just a few moments with the opening statements by the attorneys for each side. Now, in a criminal case such as this, the state has the burden of proving its case by proving each element of the charges against the defendant beyond a reasonable doubt. And because it has the burden of proof, the state gets to go first, give you their opening statement first. And after the state has given you their opening statement, the defense will give you their opening statement. Now, an opening statement is a chance for the attorney to tell you what the case is about, what their side's position is, and what the attorney believes the evidence is going to be from the viewpoint of that attorney's side of the case. The important thing that I want you to remember about opening statements is that opening statements themselves are not evidence. You can use an opening statement to help you understand the evidence that you'll be hearing in the course of the trial. But what the attorney says in their opening statements is not in and of itself evidence, and you cannot base your verdict on it. In other words, you can't conclude that something is true just because one of the lawyers says it is. You can only conclude it's true if the evidence convinces you of that. In other words, the testimony and the witness exhibits and any other kinds of evidence that may come in. Only if the evidence convinces you that what the lawyer said is true can you accept that as true. So at the end of the case, if your recollection of the evidence turns out to be different from what the attorney tells you, then it is your recollection that controls. Now, when the opening statements are finished, the state's attorney, whom we will refer to from time to time as the prosecutor, will begin presenting the state's case. He will call witnesses to the stand and will question the witnesses. That's called direct examination. When the prosecuting attorney has finished questioning the witness, then the attorney for the defendant will have the same opportunity to question the witness. That's called cross-examination. And the case will proceed in that manner, witness by witness, until the state has finished presenting all of its evidence. And at that point, it will rest its case. When the state rests its case, the defendant may present evidence in the same manner, but he is not required to, because, remember, in a criminal case, the burden of proof is always on the state. The defendant does not have to prove that he is innocent. Rather, the state must prove that he is guilty, and it has to prove that beyond a reasonable doubt. So the defendant does not have to present any evidence if he does not wish to. If he does choose to present evidence, that opportunity will come after the state rests its case, and will then proceed in the same manner with direct and cross-examination of any defense witnesses until the defense has finished presenting all of its evidence. Now, during the trial, lawyers may make objections. Lawyers are supposed to object when they think certain evidence is not admissible under the rules. If they object, I may sustain the objection, meaning I do not allow the evidence to be presented. Or I may overrule the objection, meaning I do allow the evidence to be presented. And I might invite the lawyers up here to the bench to discuss the issue with me before I make my ruling. And if I bring them up to the bench, I'll put that awful white noise on. The discussions between me and the lawyers will be outside of your hearing, because if the evidence turns out to be inadmissible, then it is only fair that you should not hear us talking about it. If I sustain an objection or exclude any evidence, you must not guess as to what the answer or evidence would have been, since it is not properly before you. By the same token, if I overrule an objection, meaning I do allow the evidence to be presented to you, you should not give any special weight to that evidence just because it was the subject of an objection. Ladies and gentlemen, if you think that I am expressing or suggesting any opinion as to the facts of this case through my rulings on objections or in any other way, you should ignore such an opinion. It is up to you alone to decide the facts of this case. My role as the judge is to run the trial in a fair and orderly manner, to decide the admissibility of evidence, and to give you instructions, such as I'm giving you now. So my role is very different from yours. So for example, if you should see me taking notes here at the bench, or using my computer during the testimony, you should not attach any significance at all to that, to what I'm doing. I have different things to keep track of during the trial than you do as jurors. When all of the evidence is concluded, ladies and gentlemen, so after we've heard from all of the witnesses and heard all of the evidence, we will move to closing arguments. The defense will give you their closing argument first, followed by the state giving you theirs. In their opening statements, the lawyers are going to tell you what they think the evidence is going to show you. In their closing arguments at the end of the trial, they'll tell you what they believe the evidence has shown and what conclusions they think you should draw from it. As I explained earlier with regard to the opening statements, in closing arguments, just like opening statements, the lawyers' arguments are not themselves evidence. Again, they're there to assist you in doing your job, but they are not themselves evidence. After the closing arguments are completed, I will give you instructions on the law that applies to this case. In my instructions, I will explain the law of the crimes with which the defendant is charged. I will also give you general guidance on things to consider in your deliberations and any other legal instructions that may be appropriate depending on what happens during the trial. You will go into the deliberation room to discuss and reach your verdict after you hear those instructions. I do make it a practice to give juries written copies, at least one written copy, usually a couple of written copies of my legal instructions, so that you will have them to refer to if you wish during your deliberations. Now, just a few housekeeping matters. Our trial day typically will start at 10 o'clock. Again, I greatly appreciate we're getting a good start this morning because you were all here early. We're all very grateful for that. But our typical starting time will be 10 o'clock in the morning, and we will wrap up. We'll try to have the courtroom cleared by 4 p.m. Every day. We will take a lunch break. I like to give everybody an hour, at least close to around 55 minutes, an hour and 5, something like that. I want to give you about an hour every day. And we'll take that lunch break sometime between noon and 1 o'clock. It will depend. We'll play that a little bit by ear, depending on where the trial stands at the moment. I will take short breaks of 10 to 15 minutes at other points in the trial. I do that because it's very important for you to pay close attention to the testimony, and I know that that can be hard to do if you're sitting in court for a long period of time. So I try to give everyone a break if we've been going for much longer than an hour or an hour and 15 minutes, usually somewhere between 60 and 90 minutes. I want to give everybody a chance to take a break. If you need a break at some point other than those that you can expect, please draw our attention, either get the bailiff's attention or get my attention or let somebody know. Sometimes if there's a personal emergency, we don't want to make anybody uncomfortable. You may have some sense of where we're about to break, but if you need to take a break, do get our attention, and we'll do the very best we can to accommodate you. If anyone needs to stretch, just stand and stretch their legs. You are welcome to do that, particularly if I'm up here at the bench talking with counsel and the noise is on. You don't need to ask anybody's permission to take a little break. The only thing that I do ask you to do is to keep that to the absolute minimum and not to obstruct the view of any of your fellow jurors of the evidence. But again, if you need to stretch or something, do get our attention. We will do our best to accommodate you. We want to keep everybody as comfortable as we can. Finally, I want to take a short moment to remind you about the important rules you learned during jury selection. And that is that you should not discuss anything about this case until you are in the jury room at the end of the case with all of your fellow jurors deliberating on your verdict. And that doesn't happen until after you've heard all of the evidence, the closing arguments from the attorneys, and my legal instructions to you. Only at that point will you go back to deliberate, and only then are you permitted to discuss the case with your fellow jurors. So, for instance, during our breaks in the trial, you should not be saying to a fellow juror anything like, "What did you think about that witness?" or "How do you think this side's case is going so far?" That would be discussing the case, and that is not permissible. You need to defer those conversations until you have heard all of the evidence, my instructions, the closing arguments, and my instructions on the applicable law. And not only should you not discuss the case among yourselves, you may also not discuss it with anyone else, including family or friends. Also, let me emphasize to you that you may not do any independent research about this case. That means no internet searches, no Google searches, no looking things up on social media. You are not to do, and I've explained that, I think, pretty sufficiently for everyone, why that is so important. Lastly, as I've mentioned, it appears that there will be some news media attention to the case. I don't know how extensive it may be, but you are not to read or listen to any media coverage about the case, and you're not to be influenced in any way by the fact that there may be some media attention to it, or as I've explained, that there are cameras here, a camera here. As officers of this court, you have taken your oath now. As officers of this court, it is your duty to follow all of these rules and to make sure that your fellow jurors follow them as well. The rules are very important to the court, to the state, and to the defendant. In fairness to all the parties, we need to be confident that your verdict will be based only on the legally admissible evidence that is presented to you during the trial and not on any outside influence. I know it can be hard work to pay close attention and to listen for extended periods of time, but it is very important that you do so because there will not be any transcript available to you of the testimony that you are about to hear. So when you go back into the jury room to deliberate at the end of the case, you will need to use your collective memory of the testimony. So please do pay close attention. Finally, ladies and gentlemen, keep an open mind about the case. Things can change during the course of a trial, so do not form any opinions or take any position until you have heard all of the evidence, the closing arguments, and my instructions to you on the law. So with that, I thank you for your attention. We will now begin the trial. Counsel for the state.
Thank
Their
you, Judge.
opening statement.
Good morning, everyone. We did not meet in jury selection. My name is Pete Hickley. This case is about deadly domestic violence, physical abuse occurring behind a closed door. This defendant right here, William Kelly, viciously beat his girlfriend, who was visibly pregnant. His violent physical abuse took 2 lives, mother and unborn child. His violent acts for which he and he alone is responsible. In December of 2023, 33-year-old Christine Falzone was living with the defendant in Ossipee. The two lived together alone in a small, rented, one-room structure. This small shack right here. And you'll see more photos and videos of it at trial. The entire living space is right here, as long as you see. And it's about as wide as my outstretched arms. There's a single doorway into this single room. That doorway right here and right here. And at this entryway is where Christine Falzone died. You may not see them, but here and here are surveillance cameras. They were not working at the time. Christine shared a simple, solitary, remote, and isolated existence with the defendant here. There was no plumbing. There was limited electricity. There was no vehicle to leave. Few trips were taken outside this small rented property, and there were almost no visitors. Just the two of them, Christine and the defendant, her abuser. Hour after hour, day after day, together in this room, which is not much bigger than the jury box that you're all sitting in. That previous spring, Christine became pregnant with his child. And by that winter, Christine was almost full term. Not days, not weeks, not even a few months into her pregnancy. She was almost due. And over the months, as the pregnancy progressed, Christine, as you would expect, began looking pregnant. There was a prominent and obvious bulge to her abdomen. The few people who saw Christine in December noticed. He noticed. And every one of you will also notice Christine's baby bump when you see pictures of her after her death. Christine stood only about 5 feet tall. When she died while carrying an almost full-term baby, she weighed less than 140 pounds. But Christine's visible pregnancy did not protect her from his physical abuse. Christine's pregnancy did not stop him from beating her, ultimately to death. We will not be able to tell you how exactly he physically assaulted Christine. In other words, by what means he attacked her again and again and again and caused the many, many injuries that she endured and that ultimately caused her death. Whether he inflicted the deadly blunt force trauma suffered by Christine using his fists, his feet, his elbows, his knees, objects he used as clubs, or a combination. Again, domestic violence occurring behind a closed door. And such evidence of exact mechanism of violence is not required or needed in order to convict him under the law and using your common sense. We will prove that his physical abuse killed Christine and her unborn child, and that when he committed those fatal assaults, he acted recklessly with extreme indifference to the value of human life. You will see and hear about the results of his physical abuse. Late on the morning of December 17th, 2023, the defendant called 911. You'll hear that phone call, probably this morning. Phone call lasted about 15 minutes, and it was recorded. And in the call, he was emotional, and he was calling for medical assistance, help that was summoned far too late. And using common sense, you will know why Christine's abuser called 911. And you'll also know why he was upset. He was upset because he knew that he went too far in his abuse. Christine did not get up this time from his repeated and vicious strikes. And as to why Christine's attacker would call 911, he had no choice at that time. Christine was unconscious. She was not breathing. For her abuser, it was either call for help and lie about what happened to Christine, or dispose of her dead body. In that same call that the defendant made to 911, he claimed that Christine had been fine earlier. He admitted that he had argued with her, but he said that Christine was, in his words, clumsy. Clumsy. Her abuser suggesting a false cause for her many, many injuries. The defendant over the phone also expressed concern that people would think that he had hurt Christine, and he complained that he did not want to lose his dog over it. He was worried that he might not get to see his dog again. His dog. When medical responders arrived and tried to help Christine, the defendant continued to lie and blame Christine for what happened. And you will hear from the medical personnel who tried to help Christine, who was bruised and bloodied and unconscious. Christine was not breathing. Her heart had stopped beating. And you will hear about the lies that the defendant provided to those who were desperately trying to save her life. The defendant claimed that he saw Christine about 15 to 30 minutes before calling 911, and she was fine. He admitted that he knew and saw Christine's abdomen had been swollen for months, but he claimed he had no idea that she was pregnant. The medics trying to treat and help Christine asked the defendant how long she had the obvious and severe swelling that they saw to her face. Both of her eyes were bruised and swollen shut. And the defendant's response to that question for medical aid, he would not incriminate himself. I won't incriminate myself by talking about Christine's bruised and battered face. That was the word he used, incriminate. An admission of wrongdoing by the person who caused that trauma. The defendant also claimed that he and Christine physically fought often. And the defendant claimed that he was also a victim. I'm also a victim. Another admission of his victimization of Christine and trying to defend it, trying to justify his own abusive acts. Ambulance crews gave medical aid to Christine. For about 20 minutes, they tried to revive her. But despite all their efforts, they could not bring Christine back to life. She never regained consciousness. They could not get her heart restarted. She died where they found and treated her at that doorway I showed you before. Her abuser had called 911 far too late. And Christine's body was covered with dozens upon dozens upon dozens of bruises, head to toe, to her front, to her back, to her side, and to her abdomen. Christine had bruising around her left eye and her left cheek. She had bruising around and a cut to her right eye. Christine's upper lip and lower lip were both split open. Christine had internal bleeding in several different locations to her head, in between her skull and her scalp. Christine had dozens of separate bruises all along her left arm and hand, and all along her right arm and hand. Christine had over a dozen separate bruises along her left leg and along her right leg. Several of Christine's ribs were broken, and she had massive bruising to her chest, and she had bruising to her side. Christine had bruising up and down her back. And Christine had over a dozen separate bruises to her abdomen. Trauma so severe that it caused internal bleeding. Nearly a tenth of her total blood volume spilled into her abdomen from inflicted trauma. Severe blood loss that Christine suffered, in addition to the open cuts to her face and all of the internal bleeding under her scalp, and all of the other internal bleeding from the dozens upon dozens of separate bruises all over her body. All of this is the evidence of the brutal trauma that Christine Falzone endured and suffered all over her body. Over 100 separate bruises, over 100 caused by these inflicted injuries. All of the many, many separate injuries that Christine suffered before she lost consciousness and her heart gave out. And only then did he finally call 911. Too late. And his explanation for all of this trauma, all of these injuries, she's clumsy. You will all know that that is not what happened. Christine's death was not accidental. Clumsy Christine did not fall down the side of a mountain. Nor did Christine fall down several flights of stairs again and again and again. You saw her humble home and did not have a single step. And Christine did not die from natural causes, such as heart disease or a stroke. And Christine did not commit suicide. She did not beat herself up all over her body, top to bottom, side to side, front to back, to death. The medical expert who conducted Christine's autopsy and documented all the dozens and dozens of separate traumatic injuries that she suffered will tell you what you will already know from looking at and hearing about all of these injuries, and from hearing about the defendant's lies about what really happened. Christine's death was a homicide caused by all of these many injuries together. Christine had her life beaten out of her by her abuser, by the only person who was with her. Christine Falzone was the victim of domestic violence, committed behind a closed door by this man right here. And all of this physical abuse that killed Christine also took the life of her unborn daughter, an otherwise healthy, viable, and normally developing fetus who was about 8 months along. 8 months. A fetus who died only because her needed source of life, her mother, died. The homicidal violence committed by the defendant that caused Christine's death also caused the death of her unborn child. A separate homicide for which he is also responsible under the law. Now that is a summary of the evidence that you will see and hear over the next few days. Evidence that establishes that the defendant violently abused Christine Falzone while she was pregnant, resulting in her death and the death of her unborn daughter. And at the end of the case, after you've seen and heard all the evidence, Brian, who you met in jury selection, will speak to you in closing arguments. And he'll ask you to follow the facts that we will provide to you and to follow the law that the judge will give to you, and to use your common sense and find this man, the defendant, guilty of reckless second-degree murder for the 2 lives that he took through his act of deadly domestic violence. Thank you.
Thank you, counsel. Attorney Canny?
What you just heard was horrible. I want to take a second to acknowledge that. What they said, the story they told, was awful. But that's what it is.
Yeah, counsel, I just want to make sure that your voice, that everybody's able to hear you.
I'll bring it up.
I can take that. That's what it is. A story. A story that the state is hoping that you will find so compelling, so emotional, that you will rush to judgment. That you will have already made up your minds. This case is about a rush to judgment. They judged first. They pointed the finger at William Kelly, and they built a case around that judgment second. A case cobbled together not by evidence, but by a story. A story that they will feed you about an evil man. The rush to judgment began because her blood was on his hands. When the police and the EMTs arrived, Christine's blood was literally on William Kelly's hands. There's a saying in the English language that many of us have heard before. To have someone's blood on our hands means to be responsible for that person's death, to be at fault, to be guilty. The police zeroed in on the man with blood on his hands, and they never looked back. They wanted to hold someone accountable for what appeared to be a gruesome crime, and they wanted to do it immediately. It is human nature to jump to the most obvious conclusion first. But our Constitution exists to protect us all from the pitfalls of human nature. It places a roadblock in front of the massive machine that is the state. A machine that would otherwise chug along to a quick condemnation. You are that roadblock. You stand in the way. You are here to uphold the constitutional promise that protects us all. And your job is to demand evidence, not easy assumptions, not stories. Our Constitution requires objective, unbiased evidence. In order to convict William Kelly of murder, as the state is asking you to do, they must present you with objective, unbiased evidence that convinces you beyond a reasonable doubt that he is guilty. That evidence simply does not exist. Because William Kelly did not kill Christine Falzone, and he did not kill their unborn child. Their deaths were a tragedy. They are a tragedy that he is enduring, not one that he caused. William Kelly is not guilty. The police and the ambulance crews responded to 332 Water Village Way on December 17th, 2023, because William Kelly asked them to. At 11:43 that morning, William Kelly, or Billy, as you will hear people refer to him, called 911 to get help for his girlfriend, Christine, who he had just found unconscious and bleeding on the floor. You will hear the fear and emotion in his voice as he yells into the phone, trying to respond to the operator's questions. He is distracted because while he's talking, he's also performing CPR, trying to revive her. The operator keeps having to repeat her questions, and Billy keeps saying, I don't know. Right? His voice is raised, he's out of breath, he's scared, and he is 100% focused on saving Christine. Billy doesn't know what happened, so he's offering guesses in response to the operator's questions. Maybe she didn't take her medication. Maybe that caused some sort of issue. Maybe she fell. Maybe she has a concussion. Maybe she has head trauma because she's bleeding from the mouth. He doesn't know, so he's guessing. He's trying to help. He is grasping for a reason amid the chaos. At the same time, Billy is trying to save Christine's life. You will hear him doing CPR on the 911 call, counting along with the operator for guidance. He moves Christine flat on her back and closer to the door so that he actually has room to help her. He tells the dispatcher there's blood coming out of her nose and mouth. What do I do? And she tells him he needs to clear her airway. Turn her to the side and wipe the blood away. He does what she says. You'll hear from the EMTs that he is still performing chest compressions when they arrive about 15 minutes later. His hands and arms and face are unsurprisingly covered in Christine's blood. The EMTs arrive with the Ossipee police and immediately go to work. You'll hear a lot about the cramped, cluttered, one-room shack where Billy and Christine lived. It's so small that when the crew comes in, Billy gets pushed toward the back where he's stuck while the chaotic scene unfolds. No exit, no way to get air. 4 EMTs are surrounding Christine from all sides. Police officers with guns and badges flank the doorway. Billy's crying and pacing around in the tiny space that he has. They will tell you he was distraught. He kept asking them if she was going to make it, and Christine was still not breathing. Billy was in a state of emotional overload. Adrenaline, devastation, shock, and fear. He is watching the person he loves dying in front of him, and there's nothing he can do about it. All the while, he's being peppered with questions that ring through him like accusations. How long have her eyes been like this? What happened here? Billy is obviously aware, even amidst the chaos and the turmoil, that they are looking at him with raised eyebrows and pointed fingers, that he is a suspect. The state just told you about some of the statements that he made to the EMTs in this emotional state. They want you to impart a rational, calculated criminality to his words. In a situation incompatible with rational thought, they have presented these statements as evidence of guilt. But think about what he did not do. He did not try to hide Christine's body. He did not flee the scene. He did not leave her there to die or try to cover up something that had happened. He called 911. He brought all of these people, the full power of the state, right to his doorstep to try to save Christine's life. But despite everything that he tried to do, despite the emergency crew's valiant efforts, Christine didn't make it. Unfortunately, tragically, Christine and her unborn baby died that day. Right then and there, his home became a crime scene, and William Kelly the suspect. Billy was ordered out of the house and made to sit in a plastic chair by the fence in the cold. He was ushered down to the police station where they executed a search warrant. They confiscated his clothes, swabbed for his DNA, took photos of his naked body. It could not have been more clear. To the police, this was their man. He never left the police station that night. Less than 12 hours after the police responded, before an autopsy was done, before any evidence was tested, before interviews were completed, William Kelly was placed under arrest for second-degree murder. Point the finger first, build a case later. The next day, Dr. Mitchell Weinberg of the Office of the Medical Examiner conducted Christine's autopsy. Dr. Weinberg concluded that Christine's cause of death was multiple blunt force injuries. He will tell you that in his opinion, the totality of her injuries was not consistent with an accident or a medical event, and the state will ask you to accept that opinion without scrutinizing it. But that is exactly what you are here to do. All of us, even experts, make mistakes. All of us succumb to confirmation bias, to assumptions, to tunnel vision. Dr. Weinberg conducted a routine autopsy in a non-routine case. He was not equipped for the complicated physiological circumstances that Christine's case presented, and he did not seek input from someone who was. His opinion is compromised because of it. Dr. Weinberg failed to do two critical things. First, he did not try to determine whether Christine had any pregnancy-related medical complications that involve bleeding disorders. This matters because there are conditions related to pregnancy which can cause a pregnant woman to bruise and bleed excessively. You will learn throughout this trial that this pregnancy was high risk. Christine was a former drug user. She and Billy were living in extremely unsanitary conditions with mold and rust and no running water. She was receiving no prenatal medical care. This was a high-risk pregnancy, and a high-risk pregnancy can come with dangerous medical complications. Dr. Weinberg will tell you very candidly that he is a general forensic pathologist. He is not a placental pathologist or an obstetrician or a specialist in maternal fetal medicine. Those experts do exist, and he easily could have consulted with them, but he did not. He did not conduct a placenta exam or any specialized testing beyond his routine autopsy procedures, nor did he consult with someone who is an expert in those areas. As a result, he cannot rule out with certainty the possibility that a complication of pregnancy contributed to Christine's death. The second thing Dr. Weinberg failed to do was to try to narrow down which injuries actually occurred on the day of Christine's death. He did not sample her bruises, her fractures, or the blood in her abdomen to try to determine how old any of those injuries actually were. In reaching his opinion, Dr. Weinberg relied on the totality of Christine's injuries. He will tell you, and the state just told you, that he believes it was the total combined blood loss from all of the bruises on her body that caused her to die. But you will hear from every EMT and the investigator for the medical examiner's office and from Dr. Weinberg himself that Christine's bruises were in various states of healing. He will not be able to tell you how old they were, whether any of the bruises were fresh, as in likely to be from the day of her death. He will not be able to tell you whether those bruises were superficial or deep, which would impact the amount of blood loss each one of them would cause. He could have obtained this information. Dr. Weinberg could have performed a layered dissection of the tissue and actually sampled those bruises under a microscope to look for this evidence. But he did not do this, nor did he sample her fractures or the blood in her abdominal cavity. And why is this important? Because Dr. Weinberg will not be able to tell you which of Christine's injuries occurred on the day of her death, or which one actually caused her death, or what the mechanism of her death even was. This leaves us with critical questions that Dr. Weinberg cannot answer. Was Christine suffering from a bleeding disorder that caused excessive bruising? Is this why she was bruised all over her body? If so, was there one specific trauma or medical event that day that could have caused her death? We will never know, because Dr. Weinberg did not seek those answers. His autopsy sought to confirm, not to discover, Christine's cause of death. But with that autopsy report, the rush to judgment found another shaky leg to stand on. From the state's perspective, the case against William Kelly was justified. still wasn't enough, and they knew that. There was not, and there still is not, a shred of direct evidence that William Kelly killed Christine Falzone. So they had to come up with the evil man story. A story of William Kelly as callous, uncaring, chronically depressed, and perpetually angry. They will feed you that story throughout this trial to try to convince you that he is the type of person that would have killed Christine. That evil man, as they will present him to you, concealed Christine and her pregnancy away in their shack. But you will hear today from Christine's father, Dominic, that he believes she had her own reasons for wanting to hide her pregnancy from others. Not just from her family, but also from the state. Reasons that had nothing to do with Billy. That evil man, as they will present him to you, was always angry. The neighbors constantly heard him shouting, so much so that it was part of the soundtrack of their daily lives. But they never thought twice about it, and it never raised any alarms. He'd often be shouting at the goats, or at his dog, or at no one at all. And although they heard him shouting on the morning of December 17th, it was not notable to them. Not until the police came around asking about it. And finally, that evil man, as they will present him to you, cared more about his dog than his girlfriend. Yes, Billy was concerned about his dog, Chance. Yes, Billy loved that dog. Chance was part of his family. But don't fall for the false binary, that just because he cared about his dog means that he did not care about Christine. Billy loved Christine. According to one friend who the state will call as a witness, he was always thinking about her, always talking about her, always wanting to stop somewhere and to pick up something to bring back for her. And on December 17th, Billy was absolutely distraught as he watched her die. Your verdict must be based on evidence, not on an evil man's story, not a rush to judgment, and not on the overwhelming emotion that you will undoubtedly feel. This was a tragedy. There is no question about it. You can feel that deep in your bones, but you still must do the job that you promised to do. To be analytical, to scrutinize the evidence fairly and methodically, to give William Kelly a fair trial, because that is what he deserves. Because an unjust conviction, one based on a rush to judgment, or on emotion, or on an impulse to hold someone accountable, would only compound the tragedy of this case. It's an awesome responsibility, as one of you said the other day. Demand evidence. Demand proof beyond a reasonable doubt. Hold the state to its incredibly high burden. And when they don't meet that burden, find William Kelly not guilty of murder.
The state would like to begin its first. I'd like to take a break since the jurors have been here for about an hour. I would like to take a break at some point in the next, 20 minutes or so. So I'll leave it to the state if you'd like to call your first witness.
Your Honor, I think the first direct we can do in that 20 minutes.
Very good.
State calls Dominic Falzone. Right up there.
So would you please remain standing for a moment and raise your right hand? You solemnly swear to testify in this case, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. Yes, I do. You may be seated, sir.
Good morning. Could you please introduce yourself to us and spell your name for the court reporter, please?
My name is Dominic Falzone. I'm Christine Falzone's dad. My Dominic Falzone.
Where do you live?
Effingham.
How long have you lived there?
On and off about 10 years.
Where'd you live before Effingham?
Ospey.
Did you grow up in New Hampshire?
No, I didn't.
Where'd you grow up?
Massachusetts?
Do you have any kids?
Yes.
How many?
4?
Is one of your children Christine Falzone?
Yes.
When was Christine born?
March 19th, 1990.
Did Christine have any children of her own?
Yes, she had 3.
Mr. Falzone, is Christine now deceased?
Yes, she is.
What was she like in life? What did she like to do?
She liked writing in her journal. She loved just being there for people. And she's one of the type of people that would walk into a room and just light it up and make everyone happy. She dedicates herself to her relationships, no matter whether they're good or bad.
I want to focus on a specific time frame with you, December of 2023. Where was Christine living at that time?
Moultonville, down the street from here. I forget the name of the street, actually.
In Ossipee?
Yes.
Was she living with anyone else?
William Kelly.
How long had she known Mr. Kelly?
Roughly 2.5 years.
And over the time that Christine knew Mr. Kelly, did you have occasion to meet him?
Yes.
About how many times?
5 or 6 times.
Do you see Mr. Kelly in the courtroom here today?
Yes, I do.
Could you point him out for us and just identify something he's wearing?
Right there with the tie on, the last one on the defense table.
I ask the record reflect the witnesses identify the defendant.
The record will so reflect.
So I want to back up a little before December of 2023. At some point in Christine's adult life, did she begin to struggle with drug addiction?
Yes, she did.
About when did that begin?
Roughly about 8 years prior. And then she sought help many times, and then finally she was able to be clean for about 2 years.
So I want to clarify some time frames there. You said about 8 years prior. Was that 8 years prior to moving to Ossipee?
Yes.
And then at the end you said she had been clean for about 2 years.
Yes.
2 years prior to moving to Ossipee, or while she was in Ossipee?
While she's in Ospey, Effingham and Ospey.
And as Christine began to struggle with that, was she allowed to live with you when she was in her active addiction?
At times, I did take her in and get her help, yes.
Were there other times where she was not allowed to live?
Yes.
Where did she live sort of in between when she was allowed to live with you and when she got to Ossipee?
With friends or with a boyfriend.
Was that boyfriend Mr. Kelly?
At one point prior to her actually going with him for 1.5 years, which is this last time, she dated him for 6 months, about 2 years earlier.
So she was sort of on and off with the defendant
Yes.
over the period of several years.
Yes.
And at the time she was living in Ossipee with the defendant, were they in a relationship?
Yes.
Do you remember the address of the property they lived at?
I believe it's Waterville Road out here. I know how to get there. I just don't know the exact address.
Would you visit Christine
Often.
at that location?
Often.
About how often?
Every other week.
Can you describe the structure that she was living in there with the defendant?
Back when I used to visit her, I really didn't know. It's after she passed I learned what it looked like.
What's it look like?
A shack, a little shed.
And you said you'd go see her there about every other week. What would
Yes.
you do when you went to see her?
I would bring food, check on her, make sure she's safe, make sure she didn't need anything.
To your knowledge, during the time she was living in Ossipee, did Christine ever have a job?
Not that I'm aware of.
Did the defendant?
Not that I'm aware of.
Did she have a car where she was
No.
living? Did the defendant have a car?
No.
When you would go to visit her, you mentioned a little earlier that you hadn't seen the actual place they were living until after she died. Were there rules that you had to follow when you would go see Christine?
Yes, I only could pull in so far into the driveway, and it was blocked by a giant tree branch.
So you were only allowed to pull up to a marker in the driveway?
Yes.
Were there other rules?
Yeah, I could not drive off with Christine. I couldn't have my vehicle running unless it was during the winter.
Did you have to give advance notice when you went to see her?
Yes, I did.
And when you would pull your truck into the driveway, how would you visit her? Would that happen in your truck, outside?
Within my truck. I wasn't allowed out of it.
Were there any occasions when you visited with Christine in your truck in the driveway that you saw the defendant watching you?
Once.
And on that specific occasion, did he actually prevent you from visiting with her?
Yes.
About how long prior to her death was that?
Roughly 5-6 months.
So during the time frame, and I don't remember if I asked this yet, how long were they there in Ossipee?
They were there roughly about a year, maybe just over a year.
So during that year span, did you ever see the inside of where she was living?
No, I didn't even see the shack.
Were you aware that Christine was pregnant prior to her death?
At first, in the beginning, she used to ask me for money for prenatal pills. And then I thought maybe she lost it because she stopped asking.
So at what point did she start asking for those? How
March, April.
March or April of 2023?
Yeah, yes.
And then when did she stop asking for them?
Didn't really realize. I just didn't give her money.
When, Mr. Falzone, was the last time that you saw Christine alive?
Right around Thanksgiving time, just before it,
And that would be
of
of
2023.
And at that time when you visited with her, did you notice whether or not she was pregnant?
She wore large clothes, so no, I didn't.
I got one moment, Judge.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm just going to ask, is everybody able to see the witness? Yeah. I just realized, no. I'll ask counsel at some point if we can address that, because the screen there is blocking at least one juror from being able to see the witness.
So the state has no further questions at this time. If the court wants to take a break, I can adjust that.
I think that would be an appropriate thing for us to do. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a short break. If at any point, ladies and gentlemen, you're unable to see or to hear any of the evidence, please do get our attention. It's very important that you be able to do that. Ma'am, were you able to hear the gentleman's testimony? Okay. And you were able to see, you had at least some view of him, but it's obstructed a bit. Okay. So we're going to take a break now. Ladies and gentlemen, let's come back in 15 minutes. Yep, I'm sorry.
They were asking me about, they really couldn't see much of the witness, so.
Okay, we'll need to address that. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a 15-minute break now, and we'll come back at 11:25, and then we will go for about another, 55 or 60 minutes, and at about 12:25, that's when we will take our lunch break today. Okay, so just so you know, during this brief recess, remember the instructions that I've given you. You are not to discuss this case amongst yourselves or with anyone else. You are not to listen to anything or read anything about the case, and you are not to look anything up regarding the case or do any research about the case. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, I thank you for your attention, and we'll see you in 15 minutes.
All rise for the jury.
Mr. Falzone, you're welcome to step down, sir. Yeah, I had to move mine out of the way so that I could see the witness. So wherever you, just move it to this.
You might have a table or something.
Can it just be moved to this side? Okay, we'll see everyone at 15.
I don't know how long we're going to go. There is two witnesses away that we're going to ask the court to read.
All right, thank you. I will consider that. Thanks very much. And I'll prepare the instruction to go with that. Mr. Falzone, if you would kindly resume the stand, sir. Yes, please. All right, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. You may be seated. We've moved the monitor at the witness stand to everyone's satisfaction, so everyone is able to see the witness, including Mr. Kelly. So, ladies and gentlemen, we will resume. Attorney Canny, you may inquire.
Good morning, Mr. Falzone.
Good morning.
I just want to start with a couple of questions about Christine's medical care. So you would receive Christine's mail for her, is that right?
Part of the time, yes.
Part of the time. In the fall of 2023, were you receiving her mail usually for her?
Miscellaneous mail.
Miscellaneous mail. And she would get mail sent to your house about appointments and things like that, right?
Not all the time.
Okay. Specifically, she would get mail from Goodwin Community Health? Do you
Yes.
know? Okay, so you did receive that,
Yes.
and you would pass that along to her?
Yes, I would.
Okay. That's the only place that you were aware of her being seen for medical care, right?
Yes.
And the last communication that you got from Goodwin was letting her know that they were trying to reach her, right?
I'm not 100% sure. I know I just gave it to her.
Okay. There was a letter about a missed appointment on November 16th. Do you recall that?
I do not.
Would looking at a copy of the interview that you gave to police refresh your recollection on that?
Okay.
Just one moment. I'll give you a copy of this.
Judge, could we just approach briefly?
Yes, you may.
Does that refresh your recollection?
Must be.
I don't want to.
No, I just don't worry about it.
So,
I mean, but,
to your memory, she had received a letter about missing her permit on
Okay.
November 16th.
okay.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Thank you. So the state talked to you a little bit about how Christine had struggled with drug use in her past, right?
Yes.
And Billy did too. You were aware of that?
Yes.
And they actually met in a rehab program.
Yes.
Christine had gone to a couple of programs throughout the years, right?
Yes.
And you had helped her get into some of those places.
Yes.
And you also talked about bringing her food and bringing her phone cards and things like that.
Yes. And phones. Yep.
And phones. You talked with the prosecutor about her being allowed to live with you at times.
Yes.
Just wanted to ask you about that. So that was the word I think the state used, was allowed. And was that your rule?
That was my wife's rule, basically, just so everything got along. She was in a good space, so she was allowed, yes.
Understood. So just to be clear, when you say that she at times was allowed to live with you and sometimes wasn't allowed to live with you, that was coming from you,
Yes.
your wife?
Yes.
You mentioned that Christine didn't have a vehicle.
Correct.
And she rarely left the house, to your knowledge.
Only time she left the house is with Billy.
Okay. You knew about a couple of social things that she was going to.
Yes.
So one of those things was, for example, it was your understanding that she went to Thanksgiving with Kevin's wife or Kevin's sister.
Something like that, yeah.
And-
I do recall that.
And Kevin is the landlord up at the top of the hill. Is that
Yes.
right? And then also, to your knowledge, she was going to AA/NA meetings in Ospey.
Yes, FCCO.
Okay, and what's that? I don't actually know what that.
First Congregational Church of Ospey?
I see. Thank you. And you were aware that she had actually met a lot of good people through that.
Yes.
Now you said that Christine had mentioned or kind of implied that she was pregnant in early 2023. Is that right?
Yes. March or April.
So that was probably pretty early on in her pregnancy.
Yes.
And you said that she asked you about money for prenatal vitamins or pills?
Yes.
Okay. She also asked you about potential recovery programs for pregnant women?
No, she talked to me about a place in Wolfboro that will help set her up with an apartment and
Okay.
all this.
Okay, thank you. But you said that she never mentioned it again after that spring, right?
No,
And you didn't want to pry.
we're talking about a lot of other things.
Okay. And you assumed at some point that she had lost the baby. That's, I think, what you said.
That's what I assumed, the way she stopped talking about it.
Okay. Now you would see Christine
Approximately, yes.
Every other week, something like
Yeah.
that? Okay. And that would be in person, right?
In person, yes.
Okay. And these visits, I think you said continued all the way up until Thanksgiving, around Thanksgiving?
Just before Thanksgiving, yes.
Just before Thanksgiving. And even up until that last visit just before Thanksgiving, you said that you didn't notice that she was pregnant, right?
She wears a lot of big sweatshirts and sweatpants. You know,
So you didn't notice a bump because of what she was wearing?
correct. Because she's so tiny.
You've said to investigators that you believe that Christine might have wanted to hide her pregnancy from her family, right?
Yes,
And you believe that she might have wanted to hide it from the state too.
yes.
And just to kind of explain why Christine's other two children had been taken from her, right?
Due to her drug addiction.
Okay. And I think you said maybe a bad living situation at the time that she had them too.
On one occasion, yes.
Okay. And so DCYF got involved and her other two children were taken from her custody?
Yes.
Okay. You were actually raising one of her children?
I adopted him and he's my son.
And that wasn't something she was happy about?
Yes, she was. She actually requested the court for me to give me the right to adopt him.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean that you had adopted her son. I meant her children being taken away from her. That wasn't something that she was happy about.
No, she was not happy.
And you believed, and you talked to investigators about, you believed maybe she was trying to avoid that happening again.
Yeah, yes.
That's all the questions I have for you, Mr. Falzone. Thank you very much.
Nothing further, thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Falzone. You may step down, and you're welcome to resume your seat in the gallery if you wish.
State calls Joyce Jastrom, Judge.
Good morning, Ms. Jastrom. If you would kindly step up to this seat here. Kindly remain standing for a moment and raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear the testimony you give in this case will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
May I inquire, Judge?
You may.
You can please introduce yourself to the jurors and spell your name for the reporter, please.
Sure, it's Joyce, Joyce, Jastrom, Jastrem.
Mr. Jastrom, back in the winter of 2023, where were you working?
Concord PSAP 911.
And I'm sure that the jurors are familiar with the 911 system, but if you can briefly describe it and your role in the system?
Absolutely. So in New Hampshire, any calls that are placed from a New Hampshire line or hitting a New Hampshire tower, they come into our, we call PSAP, Public Safety Answering Point. We have two offices, one in Concord, one in Laconia, but we're on the same system. It's called the Automatic Call Distributor. So basically, it doesn't matter which office I'm in, whoever's been waiting the longest gets the next call.
And you actually respond to the calls and talk to the people who called 911?
Yes,
Do you have medical training?
yes,
Are calls that are placed to the E911 system typically audio recorded?
every time.
I want to turn your attention specifically to December 17th of 2023. That morning, were you working for the 911 system?
Yes, I was.
And while working, did a call come in reporting in substance an injured female?
Yes,
And did you take that incoming 911 call?
I did.
And we played that call before and you reviewed it, I think, a couple weeks ago with me?
Yes,
And that states Exhibit 3, counsel, which is in evidence? So with respect to the audio recording of that call, we're going to be playing it in a moment. first, let's get some background. At the beginning of the recording that we're about to hear, whose voice is heard?
I answered the call, and William was the caller.
You don't know Mr. Kelly, the defendant in this case,
No.
right? But it was a male caller on the other line?
Yes, and he gave his name to dispatch.
And are you and the caller on the 911 call during the entirety of that call?
Yes.
And what generally is occurring during the 911 call that we'll be hearing shortly?
So when the call first comes in, the first thing we do is watch. They'll see if it's a landline or cell phone. We ask what the address of the emergency is, not where they're calling from, because we need to know it might be a different location. Then we ask for the phone number they're calling from in case we get disconnected, which we did at one point. And then we need to know what type of an emergency so we know where to go from there.
At some point during the call, were police and medical personnel summoned to the address that you were given?
Yes.
And that address was at 332 Water Village Road in Ossipee?
Yes.
About 5 minutes into the call, a tone is heard. Is that the disconnect that you
Yes.
talked about before? And you called back and continued the call?
Yes.
So with that context, we're going to start playing the recording of the 911 call received on December 17th. It lasts about 16 and a half minutes. We're going to be playing about 9 minutes in, and then I'm going to pause.
Okay.
And I believe we have the audio loud enough, but if any of the jurors need it, you can just raise your hands. Maybe we should, let's start that over, because I can't hear it. Let's go it up further, please. Let's go, let's just, if it's too loud, the jurors can say it's too loud. Okay.
New Hampshire, hold on, what is your emergency? Water Village Road. My girlfriend is unconscious and bleeding. All right, what town, sir? Sir, I'm showing you an Ossipee, is that correct? Correct. Okay, is this a single-family home? Okay, is it 332 Water Village Road, Ossipee, single-family home? Yes. All right, and you're calling from 892-3150? Correct. Okay, tell me exactly. You're trying to do what? I'm trying to do CPR, right? Okay, tell me exactly what happened. Tell me what happened. I don't know what happened. What's wrong with her? Okay, I'm sending the Ossipee Police and Ambulance to help you now. Stay on the line. I'll tell you exactly what to do. Stay on the line. She has issues with her health. She has what? She doesn't have all of them either. Okay, I'm sorry, sir. I didn't hear what you said. I didn't hear what you said. She doesn't have like all her medication. So I don't know if that's affecting what's wrong with her. Okay, you said that she didn't have. Okay, caller, are you saying that she overdosed or she didn't take her medication? No, okay, I'm trying to. Okay, sir, she fell? She fell, I think that when she got cut or something. I guess she might have been cut, maybe? Okay, tell me about the fall, sir. How? I don't know. Okay, all right. No, I'm not. Okay, listen to me. We're starting the police and ambulance. I'm trying to help you, and we want to make sure that we're treating her correctly. Did she have trauma today? Yes. I believe there's trauma to her head. There's trauma to her head. Okay, how far did she fall? I don't remember. Okay, all right, listen to me. I'm gonna help. Okay, listen. Okay, your phone is breaking up really bad. Listen to me, okay? I'm gonna tell you how to help her. Okay. You know what? I just remember speaking. You were talking. She was fine. correctly, okay? If there's a defibrillator available, send someone to get it now and tell me when you have it. What? Okay, is there a defibrillator available? No. Okay, so I'm going to tell you how to do CPR to make sure that we are doing this correctly. I need to know about how old she is. 33. She's 33, okay. Stay right on the line with me, okay? Listen carefully. Lay her flat on her back on the floor. Remove anything from her. And she's what? Yeah, okay. All right, I don't need that information. I just want an approximate age. Is she flat on her back on the floor? Yes. Okay, make sure to remove anything from under her head. Yes. Okay, so, all right, no, okay, we don't want to move her. Is she flat on her back on the floor? Yes, I want her front to the door. I can touch the Okay, so listen to me. I'm gonna tell you how to do chest compressions, okay? Okay. All right, so you need to, again, make sure she's flat on her back, on the floor, place the heel of your hand on the breastbone right between the nipples. Put your other hand on top of that hand. You're gonna pump the chest hard and fast at least twice per second, 2 inches deep. Do you understand? Okay, let the chest come all the way up between pumps. We're going to do this until health can take over. Count out loud so I can count with you. No. Okay, slow down, okay? It's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Are you doing compressions?
Is this where it was disconnected?
Hi, it's 911. We're going to keep doing the compressions. Are you doing the compressions? Yes. Okay, so I'm going to count 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Just count with me, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Slow down, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Try to do them equal and consistent, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Just keep doing those compressions over and over. Don't give up. This will keep her going until the paramedics arrive. Okay? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Tell me when they're right with her or if anything changes. Okay? All right. Keep doing those compressions. Don't stop. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Don't stop CPR until the paramedics take over from you. Am I on speaker? Yes. Okay, good. Do not leave her alone till the paramedics are right there. Is the door unlocked? Yep. Okay, and keep doing the compressions. Don't stop. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Tell me when they're right with her. starting the compressions, you said something about medication. Did you say she's not taking it?
She hasn't had her medication either. So I don't know if that's affecting why she's not okay.
Okay.
And then I remember earlier, you know, she's very clumsy, you know, like, when she, like, you know, like, is walking around and stuff, it's like, I mean, I just don't know what happened, like, she's so, and then, take care of it, don't know what to do.
Okay.
Do you think that I did it, you know, like, because I love her, you know, like.
Yes, no, I understand, okay, so we're gonna explain all that to the dispatcher.
I don't want to be quite off. Really?
So we paused the 911 call. Again, a ringtone is being heard right now while you're speaking with the caller. Can you please explain what's happening at this point that we'll be hearing?
I'm calling dispatch to give them an update.
And what is dispatch?
It's the dispatcher, in the sense it's the county that dispatches the police and ambulance.
So it wouldn't be you who dispatch medical and police, it'd be the dispatcher.
Correct.
And there's going to be a third voice in the rest of the recording, that's the dispatcher.
Yes.
So with that context, let's play the remaining of the recording, and it lasts about 8 minutes, and this will be to the end.
I don't want to be quite off. Really?
Okay. Dispatch 911, Agent 132. I have the 332 Water Village Road officer on the line. He is doing compressions on his girlfriend. He said that she's 33. He said they had an argument earlier, and she's very clumsy, and he's afraid that somebody's going to think he did something. And he said he doesn't want to lose his dog over this. Oh, okay. Do we know what happened?
I think my dog is like really get that anxiety without me. I want to.
Okay.
Make sure he's okay.
Okay, what happened, sir?
I think she suffered blunt force trauma because she's bleeding, but it's coming out of her mouth.
Okay. Is your dog here right now?
Yeah, he's with me right now.
Okay, can you put the dog in another room just for safety?
Okay. I just don't know. There's a lot.
Okay, sir.
There's a Boy Scout.
Sir, we're sending people to help you. What's your name?
William.
What's your last name, William?
Kelly.
Okay. I have responders on the way now. Thank you. All right, sir, is the dog secured out of the way?
You're right. Yeah.
Okay, are you still doing the compressions?
Yeah.
Okay, you mentioned there's a...
I'm doing the compression, but
No.
he won't go nowhere. He loves me too.
Okay, you said there's a lot of blood in her mouth. Okay, if there's a lot of blood in...
In the nose.
Okay, if there's a lot of blood, then we do need to clean her airway. Turn her mouth and nose to the side and wipe it. Okay, and once you wipe it clean, I want you to go...
I've been doing that since I got into like all my stuff.
Okay, so is there a lot of blood in her mouth right now?
No, at the moment, no.
Okay, then keep doing those compressions.
Something came out and I turned on her side to check. Check her
Okay,
side.
okay, something came out of where?
Went out of her mouth and I turned on her side a little bit more.
Okay, what do you mean blood came out, or what do you mean something came out?
Blood, yes.
Okay, if there's a little bit of blood remaining, then that's okay. But if there's a lot of blood, you do need to clear her airway. Is her mouth full of blood?
Nothing really coming out now.
Okay, then keep doing the compressions, okay? 1, 2, doing the compressions?
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Okay. Just count. Oh, you're welcome. Count out loud so I can make sure we're doing them at the right pace. Okay, you need to slow down, William, okay?
1, 2, 3,
3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
4,
1, 2, 3. Okay, William, a little slower, okay, because we need to make sure that our chest goes up and down all the way. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
I think 36.
Okay, what kind of dog do you have?
He's a pit bull.
Okay, you need to secure the dog out of the way. Do it now and tell me when it's done. Is the dog secured out of the way? William, is she secured out of the way?
Yep, he's out of the way.
He's out of the way. Okay, keep doing those compressions. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I just want to make sure that you are at 332 Water Village Road. Okay. Keep doing those compressions. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. One, two, three, four. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Are you still doing the compressions?
Yep, 1, 2,
3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Slow down, William. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Hello? Through here.
Is that the rescue?
Yes, right through here. You gotta open the gate. You gotta open the gate to the latch. The dog's secured.
Are they able to get in through the gate, William?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Is that rescue?
Yeah.
All right. Bye-bye, William.
Thank you. We had an argument earlier. Yeah. Okay.
A moment, Judge. I have no further questions. Defense might have some questions
Okay.
for you.
Counsel may inquire.
Requisite time. All right, Ms. Jastrow, I'm going to ask you some questions about your involvement in this incident. You understand?
Yes.
Okay. So you've been a 911, would you call you an operator? Or what is the proper term now?
We're considered part of dispatch now, first responders, but my actual title is a telecommunications specialist. And I've been there 30 years.
A 911, and that was my next question. So a 911 telecommunications specialist.
Yep.
30 years, you say?
Yep.
Okay. So this is not your first rodeo. Okay. So let's talk with the jury a little bit about the nature of the job that you do. You indicated some significant medical training.
Yep.
Tell the jury about what that training is.
I've actually, prior to this job, I was a CNA and an EMT intermediate, but they train us very extensively. It's about 2 months training before we're even allowed to go on our own. We're certified in EMD, emergency medical dispatch, APCO communications. There's several different trainings, and then we're paired with somebody, and they grade every single call of ours before we're allowed to even go on our own.
So tell me about that part about the communications training. What are they trying to make sure of because there's two aspects to your job, right? One is the medical knowledge,
Mm-hmm.
and the other is the management of people in crisis. Is that fair to say?
Yeah.
All right. Could you tell the jury a bit about the extent of your training of the management of people in crisis?
They teach us calming techniques where it's a non-visual, so all we can rely on is audio. And that's why many times you hear me stopping and I'm trying to get him to repeat what he's saying because I don't want to miss anything. In one situation, like CPR, I need to know what happened because sometimes we start with compressions first, sometimes we start with ventilations first. And in this case, I didn't know she was pregnant, which we also treat those different.
By the very nature of the calls that come into you, fair to say that the person who's calling is generally in the proximity of a traumatic event.
Absolutely.
And very often being in the proximity to that traumatic event, they also have a close relationship with the subject of that trauma.
Sometimes, yes.
Okay. So you got someone who's close to the subject who's in trauma.
Yes.
Is it fair to say that that can often lead to an incredibly urgent need to save that person?
Absolutely.
And that's why they're calling you?
Yeah.
So fair to say that most of the calls you get, people are not calm and collected?
A majority of them, yes.
Right.
And that's, you were asking about communication skills.
Right.
So we're taught, like I was saying, calming techniques. What we've learned is if we're not in control, we can't be in control of the call. So a lot of times we have to speak slower. We have to repeat things. We have to give action with reason. I need you to do this because of this. It's very intensive.
Right. And you employed some of those techniques here.
Yes.
And what I'll do is I'll go with you some of my observations of what you said and what we all heard in the call and see if your observations were the same, all right?
Okay.
So Mr. Kelly calls in,
Yeah.
right? Immediately says he needs help, and you respond to that,
Mhm.
right? And within about a minute of the call, you then click in a call to the police and to rescue, to assist.
I actually say I'm sending them, but my partner is actually the one contacting them, so we don't want to delay any CPR.
Perfect, okay. And you do that, you're not assessing, listen, a bad character, something bad happened here, therefore I have to have the police there. No, you're following your protocols to get first responders there right away without making some kind of judgment call.
Yes, every cardiac arrest, we ask for police and ambulance.
Okay, so you do that right off the bat to make sure that the subject of this call is getting all the quickest attention and all the most prompt medical attention that she can have.
Correct.
Okay. And then you're also giving Mr. Kelly instructions.
Yes.
Okay. And asking him questions to assess the nature of the trauma.
Right, and which instructions we're giving. Yeah.
Okay. And he answers you, and he's responsive to your questions. Is that fair to say?
He's given me answers, but they're not consistent, and I'm trying to find out if I need to do compressions or ventilations or what kind of. Sometimes we have to control bleeding first, and it's a non-visual, so I don't know what we have, and I'm trying to help him.
Right. And so, like, many people who are victims or co-victims of trauma, he needs reorienting. And you're doing that in the conversations. Can we agree that in the call that you had with him, the things that he was not aggressive? Fair? With you?
He was not aggressive towards, no.
Okay. He didn't give you problems as far as talking back to you or anything of that nature?
No, I was having trouble getting answers.
But is that inconsistent with any of the calls you get? When people are worked out?
Everybody handles it differently, yes.
But fair to say, many people handle it like this guy handled it.
Sometimes, yes.
Often, right? So, in fact, he gives you such specificity that they think it's suspicious, right? He says blunt force trauma. So this guy isn't hiding anything. He's telling you exactly when you're trying to get closer to a medical diagnosis here. That's what he gives you, right?
He's giving conflicting answers, though.
Yeah, well, he starts off with, I don't know what happened, right?
Right.
Because he says, I came back, and she's there, right?
Right.
Unconscious and bleeding, right?
Yes.
Okay, and then you go further. You're trying to do your job.
Right.
Yep.
And then when he mentioned the fall, I asked how far she fell, and he said, I don't remember. It was just, like I said, we have to be very careful. And like I said, we can only go by what we're hearing. And because we want to make sure that the scene is safe for the responders as well.
Right, of course. And that's why, I'm going off the chronology here. That's why you paid so much attention about the dog, right?
Yes.
Okay. Especially when you heard that it was a pit bull, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because you want to make sure the first responders are what?
Safe.
Okay. Because when you have a large and powerful animal like a pit bull, that can inflict damage on anybody that's around it, right?
Yes, and he mentioned it was very protective, and we want to make sure, because sometimes they don't know what's going on. And
okay. So that's why when we hear a couple mentions of the dog, and you go back into it, there's a lot of talk about a dog at the time of an emergency. You're trying to make sure that not only he's safe, but that the first responders are safe.
yes.
Now, as you're talking to him, you are talking and teaching him how to do chest compressions.
Yes.
Okay. In what I hear, tell me if your hearing is different than mine. What I hear is him complying. Right? Did you hear what I did as far as heavy breathing, right?
Yeah, it sounded like he was trying.
He was doing it, right? And in fact, he was doing it so vigorously, at a certain point you had to pull him back because he was doing faster count than needed to be done.
Mm-hmm.
And so he was trying to hear, right, from the audio that we have, with every effort that he had to comply with every instruction that you were giving.
Mm-hmm.
And at the same time, answering questions that you had about how this could have happened.
Right.
And in fact, when you had him first begin the chest compressions, that's when the phone disconnects.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
Because one can imagine he's doing the compressions. But you call him back because you had kept the. Did your system do that automatically?
We have to hit call back.
Okay. And so you call him back, right? And he answers.
Yeah.
So this guy, amidst all this, is doing everything you say, right? Taking all these efforts to save her, and answers the phone when you call back, right? You have to say it out loud.
Yes. I'm sorry.
Sorry.
Yes.
And you tell him, do not stop. Do not stop these compressions until those first responders arrive, right?
Yeah, until they take over, yes.
Because that can be the difference. That consistent effort in following your instructions can be the difference between life and death, and you know that.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yes.
And you heard him do it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you heard the relief in his voice when those first responders arrived. You heard the exclamation, right?
Yes.
And that's when you were able to get off the phone because you were able to hand it to them.
Correct.
So let's wrap it up with what your expertise is and what it is not, right? Your expertise is in medical incidents, traumatic medical incidents, right?
Yes, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry to do that to you. We just
Yeah,
can't.
no, that's okay.
The nods. In traumatic medical incidents, in talking people through them so that people can be saved in them, right?
Correct.
In coordinating the response of first responders.
Correct.
You don't know anything about this guy.
No.
You don't know about what makes him tick.
No.
You don't know what happened in this incident.
No.
You don't know. You have no idea whatsoever and cannot opine as to whether he killed Christine Falzone.
No, that is not our job.
But you can opine that he did everything you asked him to do to try to save her life, right?
It appears so, yes.
And you also sounded upset, right?
Yes.
And do you know why he was upset?
I don't know why he was upset.
Based on your own experiences as a 911 operator, is it uncommon to hear callers upset when they call into 911?
No, it is not uncommon.
Including callers who admit causing injuries that prompt the 911 call?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Nothing further, thank you.
All right.
May this witness be released?
Yes, Ms. Jastrom, your testimony is concluded. Thank you very much for being here today, and you may step down to free building.
Thank you.
This-
All right. I think it's an appropriate time, unless council disagrees, for us to take a lunch break. Give everybody a break. Ladies and gentlemen, at this point, we will take our lunch hour. Please be back at 20 minutes past 1, ready to come back in. Please remember my instructions. I'm going to be reminding you of these instructions every time we take a break, so you'll be able to recite them back to me shortly. Don't discuss the case over the break amongst yourselves or with anyone else. Do not listen to or read or watch anything about the case. Don't do any research. Don't look up anything. Don't do any Google searches or media searches or anything like that, for all the reasons that I think you're familiar with by now. I think I've told you enough times you understand why that's so important to us. I thank you very much for your attention this morning, and we will see you at 1:20 or as close there as we're able. Thank you. Have a nice lunch.
All right, so the jury.
Judge?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, thank you. I like to wait until I hear that door latch shut before I start talking.
Judge, as a professional courtesy, we provided the defense with today's witnesses. We do that
Yep.
in every case,
Yeah.
and we intend to continue doing that
Yep.
in this case. This afternoon, among the witnesses are two of the medical providers.
Yep.
They gave recorded interviews. If the defense has transcripts, I'm asking for those transcripts over lunch before those witnesses testify. I'm also asking that when we give the defense the witnesses for the next day, if they have transcripts, to provide us with those transcripts that night so we have it before the witnesses testify. Again, it's the state's position. They should have given us those transcripts prior to trial. They knew they had them. They didn't provide them.
Any objections to that?
They're all right there. So again,
Looks
just
like
for the
they've already
record-
been provided, so.
Yeah, so but just for the record, to make sure, we had prepared the case based upon the audio, and then in abundance of caution, we had them professionally transcribed. I think they came in late last week, or I'm not sure the exact date they came in. But regardless, Attorney Caney had them prepared in duplicate. I provided now every copy that we have of every transcript that we had done from the audio. And they're all from the state's audio that's provided in discovery.
Very good. I appreciate counsel communicating and working cooperatively with each other to the extent you can, while doing everything that you also need to do to represent your respective clients. So thank you. Have a good lunch, and we'll see you at 1:20.
Been out on a Sunday. Not nearly as bad as yours.
You're gonna come with the 2 canes tomorrow?
All right. It's getting better at least.
Good afternoon, everyone. You may be seated. Counsel, you're terrific. I was going to ask, is the next witness ready? And no one's right here. Okay, bring everybody in.
All rise for the jury.
All right, Sir George.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. You may be seated. I hope everybody had a good lunch. The state may proceed with its next witness, whom I see has already taken a stand. So good afternoon.
Dustin Joseph.
Sir, would you please stand for a moment and raise your right hand? You solemnly swear the testimony you give in this case will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help you God.
I do, Your Honor.
You may be seated.
Let's begin by introducing yourself to the jurors and spelling your name for the court reporter, please.
Trooper Christopher Dustin. Last name is spelled D-U-S-T-I-N.
And you said trooper, where do you currently work?
I work for New Hampshire State Police.
And what is your particular assignment within the New Hampshire State Police?
I'm a road trooper for the Troop E barracks out of Tamworth.
And you said Troop E barracks. What general vicinity is covered by Troop E of the State Police?
I cover the counties of Belknap and Carroll.
For about how long have you worked for the New Hampshire State Police?
About a year and a half, since May of 2024.
Back in December of 2023, were you working someplace different?
I was. I worked for the Wolfboro Police Department.
And what was your work for the Wolfboro Police Department generally?
I was a general road patrolman there.
And jurors probably know, where is Wolfboro in relation to Ossipee?
It's the next town directly west of the town of Ossipee.
From experience, while working for the Wolfboro Police Department, did you and other members of that police department go to calls for service in Ossipee?
We did.
And why would that be, if you can explain that to the jurors, please?
The two agencies have what's called a mutual aid agreement. Basically, when one town reach out and request help for whatever it may be, an officer from an adjoining jurisdiction or another jurisdiction that has this mutual aid agreement will go and respond.
Now I want to turn your attention specifically to December 17th of 2023. That morning, were you working?
I was.
And that was with the Wolfboro Police Department?
Correct.
Later that morning on December 17th, did you respond to 332 Water Village Road in Ossipee?
I did.
Before we discuss what you remember about the call out to 332 Water Village Road, it's been almost 2 years since then. Close in time to that call out, did you actually prepare a typed report?
I did.
And did that report detail some of your observations for that call out to 332 Water Village Road that morning?
Yes, it did.
Generally, what kind of location is 332 Water Village Road?
I would describe it as a private residence.
And is it just one structure on the property or multiple structures?
There are multiple structures on the property.
When you responded that morning, did you ultimately go to what I call the main structure or a different structure?
I responded to a different structure on the property.
And if you can explain that for the jurors, please.
When I arrived at that property on Water Village Road, there's a separate outbuilding that I learned that there were two people residing in, and it was directed to that. Best I can describe it as kind of a small type, like a shed structure that had been adapted to accommodate, or adapted to be a dwelling of sorts.
And are we going to see a video of that dwelling soon in your testimony?
Yes.
Before we get to the video, that morning of December 17th, about what time did you arrive at 332 Water?
It was just afternoon. I believe 12:03 p.m. is what I documented.
And were you the first police officer on scene from what you saw?
There was an officer from Ossipee already on scene.
Were there any ambulances or medical personnel already at 332 Water Village Road when you got there from what you saw?
There were.
So when you got there, there was already at least one police officer And there were also medical responders there?
That's correct, yes.
And where were the medical responders who you saw?
They were inside the doorway to that structure, that accessory structure on the property.
And what did you see them doing generally?
It appeared that they were performing life-saving measures on a female. It appeared they were doing CPR.
Did you recognize the female being treated by the medical personnel?
I did not.
And where again was she when you saw her being treated by medical personnel?
She was just inside the structure nearest to the doorway.
The jurors are likely familiar with body cameras, but what is a body camera?
It's generally a video recording device that an officer wears during their tour of duty. That's activated during some type of public interaction, be it a car stop or a criminal investigation.
That day back in December of 2023, were you yourself wearing a body camera?
I was not.
And why not?
My agency, Wolfboro Police Department, did not have body cameras at the time.
Were there officers from other law enforcement agencies who also responded to 332 Water Village Road who were wearing body cameras?
Yes, there were.
And did you review some body cam footage from another responding officer?
I did, yes.
So with that, we'll go to the screen. And for the record, this is State's Exhibit 1. This is a full exhibit. And you've reviewed this footage before?
Yes, I have.
Okay. Well, my colleague works on that. I'll ask you a couple questions. What generally is the footage that we're going to be reviewing? What's it depict?
It depicts the outside of the structure, walking towards the main doorway where the female is located.
So what is the camera looking at here? What are we seeing here?
This is the outside of that structure.
And in what direction is the camera going to be moving when we play this short video clip?
It's going to be moving to the screen's right.
And is that where Water Village Road is, off to the right?
Correct, yes, to the right of that.
When generally was this footage taken in relation to when you saw the injured female being treated by the medical providers?
This was after she had been pronounced deceased already.
So she had already been pronounced dead at the time that this footage is taken?
Correct, yes.
And is she actually going to be seen at the end of this footage?
She will be.
And at the end of the footage, we see somebody flashing, shining a flashlight on the woman. Who's shining the flashlight? Who generally? Is that another police
That's the
officer?
detective from the Ossipee Police Department.
Okay, so with that context, let's play the video. It's only about 14 seconds long, so I'm going to play it now. So that's the doorway where you saw the medical personnel treating the female. And that's the female. Trooper.
Yeah, yes.
Where she is seen in this still, is that where you saw her when she was being treated by personnel, medical personnel, when you first arrived on scene?
Correct, yes, it is.
Any barriers separating this one-room structure from the rest of the property at 332 Water Village Road?
I know there's some other adjoining rooms, but I did not go into the structure to be familiar with the layout.
Was the structure gated off from the rest?
It was, yes. There was fully fenced in from what I could tell from the outside road.
Do you recall any signs as well?
There were. It was posted as like a no trespass or do not enter type sign.
All right, so let's go back to when you first arrived at 332 Water Village Road that morning of December 17th of 2023. You said that when you arrived, ambulance crews were already treating the injured female where we just saw her,
Correct, yes.
and she ultimately was pronounced dead where we saw her?
Yes.
And did you document when she was pronounced dead in the report that you prepared?
I did.
And what time was she pronounced dead?
At about 12:20 p.m.
In addition to the deceased woman that we saw on the footage, the ambulance crews that you saw trying to save her, and police on scene, was there also a man named William Kelly at 332 Water Village Road when you were there?
There was, yes.
And you see Mr. Kelly in the courtroom?
We'll stipulate that this is William Kelly. The record will so reflect. But you may continue, though.
After the ambulance crews left 332 Water Village Road, did you see the defendant outside the structure that we just saw on that clip?
Yes, I did.
Was the defendant in handcuffs?
He was not.
What generally was the defendant doing when you saw it?
He was pacing about. He was talking to the other officers that were on scene.
And did you hear the defendant say anything while outside talking?
I did. He made some comments about loving Christine very much, and that he stated that he felt that the police may feel like he was a suspect in her resulting death, and hoped that justice would be brought for Christine.
And what you heard the defendant say that morning, did you document that in a report?
I did, yes.
And do you recall anything else that the defendant said other than what you just testified to?
If you could refresh my memory.
Sure. Would you like to take a look at your report?
Yes.
One moment. So, counsel, it's going to be 122 and 124. That's your report.
This is my report, yes.
And again, you prepared that report close in time for the actual call-out that you went to?
Correct, the following day.
When you've had a chance to review the report, if you could look up, and if that refreshes your recollection as to anything else you recall the defendant saying that morning.
It does. He also made statements about being at the landlord's, having coffee, and then coming down, finding Christine, and then attempting to do CPR and mouth to mouth.
One moment. No further questions. Thank you.
Questions from the defense?
All right, Joey, just a few questions about your involvement here, so you understand. Congratulations on your move up from Wolfboro to the state police.
Thank you, Counselor.
Okay, so when you arrived on the scene here, you were helping because the small department was helping, they help each other out in these vast geographic areas.
Yes, correct.
And you got there relatively quickly. Your response time was within about 15 minutes.
That sounds accurate, yes.
Okay. So when you got there, even quicker response time was the ambulance and an OSCP officer.
Correct, they were there first.
Okay. And fair to say that officer, that OSCP officer was Corporal French?
That's correct, yes.
Okay, and I have your report here too, so if anything I say, I'm not trying to trip you up on anything. If you need it, you let me know. I'll get it.
Understood, Counselor. Thank you.
Okay. All right, now, when you arrived, where was Corporal French standing?
I believe he was speaking to who I believe is the landlord of the property, further up a driveway that's a little bit further up the hill from where that structure is.
Okay, and where did you proceed immediately when you got here?
I went straight to that entryway of that structure and basically just stood by and while EMS worked on her.
Okay, and so you remained in the entryway?
I didn't go into the entryway, but just within probably, call it 5 to 10 feet outside that door.
Okay, and you were positioned in a way that you could hear and observe what went on inside the building?
Yes, Counselor, yes.
Because that's important for a couple of reasons, right? I mean, you want to be there as a law enforcement officer to make sure that everybody's safe.
Correct.
Right. So you've got to keep an eye and an ear on things because first responders, let's say, aren't in a position to protect themselves if something goes strange in there.
That could be, yes.
Okay. So you've got to remain vigilant and observe what's going on within that space.
Yes.
Okay. But you didn't see anything at that particular time that raised concerns, safety concerns for anybody involved?
No, there were no immediate threats.
Okay. So you explained to the jury that when you observed Mr. Kelly, what he appeared to be was distraught and anxious.
Yeah, I think anxious is the word I used, yes.
Okay, pacing.
Correct, yes.
Speaking of his love for her.
Correct.
Because had she been pronounced dead at that time?
When he was outside, she had already been pronounced dead, I believe, yes.
And you reacted emotionally to that?
I'm sorry, Counselor, one more time.
And he reacted emotionally?
Yes,
to that,
correct.
as one would?
I can't speak to him, but a normal human would, yes.
Yes. Okay. And he spoke of, at that moment, with you and these other law enforcement personnel around at that point, he spoke of wanting justice for Christine.
Those were his words, yes.
Thank you.
I have no further questions. Can this witness be released?
You certainly may. Trooper, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Free to go, and you're free to step down, free to go.
The next witness will. Good afternoon. Can you please introduce yourself to the jurors and spell your name for the court reporter?
My name is Michael Hunter. It's Michaelhunter.
Where do you currently work, and what is your present position?
I currently work for Center Ospey Fire Department, and the position would be firefighter.
And what's your role for the Ossipee Fire Department?
Is plainly firefighter EMT.
And back in December of 2023, were you working a different position?
Yes, I was.
And where were you working back in December of 2023?
I was working for Action Ambulance.
And what was your position with Action Ambulance?
It was an EMT.
And what is an EMT?
It's an emergency medical technician.
And what type of work does an emergency medical technician do?
Essentially just provide basic life support services in the event of an emergency call-out.
And what training in general have you received in order to be an EMT?
It's a national accredited program by the National Registry of EMTs and successfully passed the proctored exam.
And about when did you begin work as an EMT? About?
I believe it was 21 or 22. I apologize, I can't remember. I believe it was 22.
Several years.
Correct.
And is it a profession in which you're still engaged? You're still an EMT?
Still licensed, correct.
You testified that in December of 2023 you were working as an EMT for Action Ambulance. What generally is Action Ambulance?
It would be the agency that's responding to any emergency call-out within our coverage area.
And where was that ambulance station where you worked back in December of 2023?
It was in Ossipee.
And what, I'm sorry?
Ossipee, New Hampshire.
And what general service area was covered by Action Ambulance?
They cover, as far as Wakefield, so Ospey Corner, up to Effingham, Freedom, Tamworth, etc.
I want to turn your attention now specifically to December 17th of 2023. That morning, were you working for Action Ambulance as an EMT?
Yes.
And later that morning, did you and other members of Action Ambulance respond to 332 Water Village Road in Ossipee for a call for medical service?
Yes, we did.
And we're going to talk about that call for medical service shortly. Was that service call documented in any way by Action Ambulance?
It would have been documented in the PCR by the highest level provider that responded to the call.
And what is a PCR?
It's a patient care report, standard for every call.
And what general information would be in a patient care report?
Be anywhere from patient information to all the details of the call, what transpired, what the call it was for, primary concern, etc.
In addition to the preparation of a report, you didn't prepare that report?
I did not.
But it was prepared in the normal course of Action Ambulance business?
Correct.
Did you also speak with law enforcement investigators about that call for service that you went to on December 17th?
Briefly after the event, yes.
And when you say after the incident, so was that same day?
Correct.
And have you had occasion to review a recording of that interview?
Yes,
And actually, have you just had a chance to review a transcript of that interview?
I have.
Did you recall that particular call out before you reviewed the recording and the transcript of your interview with law enforcement?
Yes.
Were aspects memorable to you?
Yes.
With respect to the call for medical service at 332 Water Village Road on December 17th, how were you and other medical personnel summoned to that address generally? In other words, how did the call come in?
So the call would come in via 911 or direct to Carroll County, and they would tone us out, and we would respond based on that tone to the address listed.
And when you say tone us out, that means just tell you to go to a particular location?
It's an audible tone
Oh.
that comes across the radio, and will alert us to an incoming call. They'll give the address information, brief nature of the call if they have it.
Were you the only member of Action Ambulance to respond to the address that morning?
No, I was not.
Who else from Action Ambulance went to 332 Water Village Road that morning of December 17th?
That was my partner, Brian Reed, and the other ambulance, which was Emma Quint and Riley Haberman.
So there were 4 providers in total in 2 ambulances?
Correct.
And did all 4 of you go to that address together in your vehicles?
In both ambulances separately, correct.
And what was the nature of the call for medical assistance that was received that morning? What do you remember about it?
It came toned in as a unconscious female not breathing.
And given the nature of the call that somebody was unconscious and not breathing, how did you and the other medical responders respond to that address?
It would be an immediate response to lights and sirens.
And did both ambulance crews arrive at that location at about the same time?
Yes.
Was there initially some confusion over where specifically at 332 Water Village Road to respond to?
There was. There appeared to be a residence up on the hill, very snowy and muddy. So we started walking in that direction, passing by a small structure that was to our right. When the officer on scene made contact with whoever was in the residence, he had let us know that it was actually down at that small structure close to the street. So we turned around to go to that area instead.
And is that structure you ultimately went to where you saw and tried to treat the injured female?
Correct.
And describe generally the residence or the place that you and other medical providers went to provide aid to the injured female.
It appeared to be an animal pen converted into living quarters, small shack or shed attached to another structure I couldn't really see.
What happened when you got to the residence? What do you remember happening when you actually got there?
I remember going through a series of small fences and wire gates, indicative of an animal enclosure, and walked up to a doorway with it's a curtain on a rod.
And what did you see and what did you do?
So pulling back the curtain, I don't know if it was myself or the officer, I saw a female lying supine, head towards the door.
When you say supine, what do you mean by that?
Face up, on her back.
Okay. And what else do you remember seeing at that point in time?
I remember seeing an individual, what appeared to be performing chest compressions.
Male or female?
Male.
What did you do at that point in time when you saw the female lying on the floor?
I told him to move so I could assess vitals.
And what did you do at that point when you told the male to move away from the female?
I immediately started assessing her vitals, looking for a pulse.
What was her condition when you began treating her?
I remember she was very cold to the touch. She had a lot of blood in her hair, her face. She had some bruising in her chest area.
Was she breathing?
She was not breathing.
Did she have a pulse?
She did not.
Did she have a heartbeat?
She did not.
And so you said that you began, did you begin CPR at that point?
Correct.
Did the other 3 members of the medical team from Action Ambulance also provide medical treatment to the female who had no pulse?
They did.
And we're going to talk about the treatment provided in a moment. You testified that there was a male initially working on the female on the floor?
Correct.
Did you see anyone else in the room besides the female who was not breathing and had no pulse, the male with her, and the other 3 medical providers with you?
I don't recall anyone else.
Did you recognize either the female who was not breathing or the male who was with her?
I do not.
With respect to the male in the room, would you recognize him if you saw him again?
His face, yes.
And you see him in the courtroom here today?
I do.
Can you identify him through clothing that he's wearing?
Correct. He'd be in the blue or green tie and light-colored button-down shirt.
May the record reflect that the witnesses identified the defendant?
It will.
With respect to the female who had no pulse, there's going to be a photo on the screen. This will be the only photo that we'll have with you. And it may be hard to see. And do we see here the female that you and other medical providers provided treatment to?
Yes.
And am I pointing to her correctly right there?
Yes.
It's not her full body in the picture, but from what you see, is that how she appeared generally when you and other medical providers gave her medical treatment?
Generally, yes, probably with a little less blood around her face area.
And with respect to the location where she's in this photograph, is that where she was when you and other members of Action Ambulance were providing treatment to her?
Correct, that was a location.
Was the entire treatment that you and others provided to her conducted on the floor where we see here?
Yes.
Was she ever moved to an ambulance or off the floor by you or other medical providers?
No.
And why not?
She's pronounced deceased on the scene.
And why wasn't she moved during the initial treatment?
You wouldn't move a body after it's pronounced deceased. That would be a police matter at that point.
You testified that when you first came across the female, you immediately conducted CPR. Can you explain what you did manually, please?
So immediately would be assessing vitals, and then follow up to that would be CPR. She did not have a pulse, and CPR is just essentially trying to or attempting to circulate blood throughout the body, simulate blood flow.
And what was your role in the treatment provided to her? Was it focused on that CPR that you were giving?
Basic life support, correct.
What additional treatment was given to the injured female by other members of the ambulance crews from what you saw?
In this situation, I believe my partner had started initiating an airway. Emma had helped me put pads on her chest to hook up to the monitor, and I believe Riley initiated the IO access in her leg.
Okay, so you just went over some technical terms that I'm going to go over with you. You said your partner was clearing an airway. What do you mean by that?
Essentially, you want to establish a patent airway so you can move air in and out of the lungs.
You also talked about putting pads on the female's chest and hooking her up to a monitor. If you can explain that, please.
It's typical, like you would see a defibrillation pad. So essentially, we'll deliver a mild shock if there's any electrical activity to kind of correct that activity to resume normal heartbeat.
Did normal heartbeat ever resume?
It did not detect any activity.
And I believe you also said OIS. If you can explain to us what OIS is.
Intraosseous access is essentially drilling into the bone just below the knee or to the left of the knee to gain access for fluid, to administer fluid.
And why would you drill into a bone rather than inject with a needle, for example?
When you don't have circulating blood flow, your veins collapse and you can't access them with standard, IV access.
At some point, did you stop manual CPR?
Yes.
And if you can explain that to the jurors?
I believe Osby Corner had someone bring their Lucas to the scene, which is an automatic called CPR device, which essentially provides chest compressions mechanically.
The defendant, was he in the room the entire time that you and other medical providers were treating the female with no pulse, who's not breathing?
The times that I had looked over to in his direction, he was there.
At one point during your treatment of the female who had no pulse, did you ask the defendant when he last saw her breathing or talking?
I did.
And why did you ask him that?
It helps to know how long she could potentially have been in this state, which would give the medic an idea to how to formulate a treatment plan.
And what was the defendant's response to when he had last saw the woman talking or breathing?
He said it was approximately 30 minutes or so.
Before you got there?
Correct.
Do you recall anything else the defendant said either to you or to any of the other medical providers with you regarding his interactions with the female that morning?
He had mentioned that they got in an argument that morning.
And did you ask further about that?
I did. I think the answer was that he didn't want to get into it considering the circumstances, if I remember correctly.
So the defendant said he didn't want to get into the argument considering the circumstances?
Correct.
What injuries do you remember seeing on the female during your treatment of her?
A lot of deep bruising on her chest. She did have a black eye, or what appeared to be a black eye. Again, I didn't assess too much further into the nature of her injuries due to just performing basic life-saving services.
While treating the female, did you have an opportunity to see her abdomen area, even though that wasn't the focus of your attention?
Yes.
And what do you remember about the appearance of her abdomen?
It was very distended.
From what you saw with respect to her abdomen, putting aside your medical training and experience, just from what you saw, how did she appear?
I think anybody that would have looked would have assumed she was pregnant.
For about how long did you and other members of the medical team try to revive the female inside the room where you were treating her?
It was at least the 20-minute mark that I heard was noted, and I think we went just slightly past that mark.
And did her condition ever change at any point during that 20 minutes or so of trying to revive her?
It did not.
Did she ever regain consciousness?
She did not.
Did she ever start breathing on her own?
She did not.
Did you ever get a heartbeat from her?
We did not.
When the female was pronounced dead about 20 minutes after trying to revive her, where did you and the other medical providers go at that point in time?
Sorry.
Generally.
Can you repeat that? Sorry.
Yeah, after she was pronounced dead, did you and the other medical providers then leave that room and leave the area?
We did.
What about the woman whose life you tried to save? What was done with her body when you and the other medical providers left that room?
Typically, you try to make her as decent as possible and pick up any equipment that you used during the call, and you would leave.
And when you and other medical providers left, did you leave behind items used in the resuscitation efforts?
The non-reusable items, like airway devices, any other type of gauze or nasal tubes, anything that you would be able to reuse.
Those would have been left.
All those items would have been left.
One moment. I have no further questions. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Mr. Hunter. So when you arrived, you saw Mr. Kelly, or who you later learned to be Mr. Kelly, performing chest compressions.
Correct.
And that means doing CPR?
Correct.
And to be very obvious, CPR is meant to be a life-saving measure, right?
Correct.
And so he was trying to revive her when you arrived?
It appeared so, correct.
Okay. And he continued to do CPR until your crew asked him to move out of the way, right?
I asked him to move out of the way.
You asked him, specifically. So he continued to do that until you asked him?
For the brief, maybe 10 seconds or so from making contact to walking in the door.
Okay. And that was so you could take over, right? The
Correct.
professionals? Mr. Kelly was emotionally distraught when you got there, right?
It would have appeared so, yes.
Okay. That's like while he was doing CPR.
Yes.
And also while you and your team were working to revive Ms. Falzone.
Yes.
He was crying
Yes.
and he was pacing around.
I think he was sitting and standing quite a bit.
He didn't have
Combination of
much-
the both.
Sorry about that. What was the last thing you said?
It was just pretty much sitting and standing.
He didn't have much room to move, right?
There was literally no room in that area.
But he was extremely upset. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
Just as anyone else in that situation would be.
Sure.
And he kept asking the EMTs if she was going to make it.
Yes.
So we just kind of mentioned this, but when you and your team came in, Mr. Kelly sort of got naturally pushed toward the back of the residence, right?
There was no other exit.
Okay. So he's kind of stuck back there behind everyone who's working.
Correct.
And you said that Ms. Falzone, and we saw the photo, was lying with her head toward the door.
Yes.
Okay. And your whole team, so it's 4 of you, right?
Correct.
All surrounding her?
Yes.
And there was literally no room for anyone else
Next to
come in?
nothing for anyone else to come in.
Okay. So Mr. Kelly really couldn't go anywhere, right?
No.
Okay. He's sort of blocked in back there?
That's assuming there's no other exits, which I didn't look at.
You didn't see any other exit though?
Not in that room.
Okay. And I want to ask you about what you and your team were wearing. Is this uniform you're wearing today what you were wearing at that time?
This is very similar, yes.
Very similar. So it is a uniform, am I right?
Correct.
And it looks like you have a patch on the side.
Yes.
And you have a badge on your chest?
Yeah, so the patch on the side would have been an action ambulance in the designation as an EMT. There would be no badge typically.
No badge that you had that day?
Correct.
But uniform?
Correct.
And the other three also uniformed?
I can't recall.
You can't recall. Okay, that's fine. So while you and the other EMTs are trying to work on Christine to try to revive her, your team is asking Mr. Kelly questions.
Yes.
Because you're trying to help the patient.
We need as much information as possible to formulate a treatment.
And part of that is finding out what happened, right?
Correct.
And is it fair to say this is a pretty chaotic situation?
It always is.
Always is. And there are radios going off, right?
Not necessarily, unless there's other calls in the coverage area.
Okay. Do you remember if there were radios going off in this case?
I don't.
Okay. There were police outside the front door, right?
Yes.
Okay. More than one officer?
I know Officer French was there, Corporal French, and it was Chief Riley from Ospey Corner, and there was one other individual from Ospey Corner Fire Department that was on the outside of the door.
And you could see them?
Yes.
And the door was open?
Yes.
And they were how close?
Maybe 4 or 5 feet
From you?
from the head of the individual.
From the head of Miss Falzone?
Correct.
3, 4, 5 feet from Miss Falzone's head, is that what you're saying?
Outside of the door. Correct.
Okay. But within earshot?
Yes.
And within sight of everything that was happening?
Yes.
So, obviously, we just said this was chaotic. It's a heightened emotional state for everyone that's involved. Is that fair to say, too?
Yes.
Okay. And so that was what was happening when Mr. Kelly made the statements that the state asked you about on direct examination.
Yes.
So, Mr. Hunter, you talked about your training in emergency medicine. And so you're trained kind of in the basics, I assume, to be able to provide emergency services to kind of whoever you encounter. Is that fair?
Basic life support services within my scope, correct.
Okay. And part of your training, does it involve working with pregnant patients?
We encounter them, yes.
You encounter them. And so are you aware that there are specific pregnancy-related medical disorders?
Yes.
Okay. And specifically bleeding disorders, things like that?
Correct, yes.
Okay. Do you know if Ms. Falzone had any of those complications?
I wouldn't have any ability to know that.
Okay. I wanted to ask you, I'm not going to show the picture again, but the state brought up the photo of Ms. Falzone in the doorway, and the state specifically asked you about if that was how she looked at the time that you arrived. Do you recall that?
I do.
Okay, and you said something, I wanted to make sure that it was clear. You said that with the exception of this photo showing a bit more blood, that was how she looked.
Yes.
Did I say that right?
Correct.
And I want to talk about why. So when you were providing, intending to provide life-saving services to her, she was bleeding more, right?
Through her airway, correct.
So airway, we're talking nose and mouth?
Mostly it was out of her mouth.
Okay. And so that blood, not all of that blood on her shirt was present when you arrived?
No, there's just small traces of blood. She had a little blood on her face and her hair, but mostly a majority of the blood was noted afterwards.
Okay, and the reason why is that partially doing chest compressions can sort of move that blood out?
It will move fluid, correct.
Okay, and so, for lack of a better term, the blood is sort of spewing out and getting on other surfaces, right?
Yes.
Including her shirt, right?
It can get anywhere, correct.
On you?
Yes, on us all the time.
all the time. And so if there was blood on Mr. Kelly from Mr. Kelly, who you know was performing chest compressions, that would not be surprising, right?
You could assume that would be the case.
Just one moment, please. That's all the questions I have for you. Thank you.
You agreed with counsel that the defendant, you described him as upset, right?
Yes.
You also used other words to describe his behavior, right?
I did.
You used odd and strange,
Very standoffish, just not very forthcoming with answering questions.
evasive.
Correct.
Thank you.
Any further cross?
Hi, Your Honor.
May this witness be released?
Yes, Mr. Hunter, you're free to go. Free to step down. Free to go. Thank you very much.
State's next witness is Riley Haberman.
Sir, if you would kindly step up here to this chair. I'm sorry, my apologies. Right up here. Would you kindly remain standing for a moment and raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you give in this case will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you, Jason.
Good afternoon. If you can please introduce yourself to the jurors and spell your name for the court reporter.
I'm Riley Haberman. I'm a paramedic. And my name is Riley, R-I-L-E-Y, Haberman, H-A-B-E-R-M-A-N-N.
And where do you currently work and what is your current position?
So currently I'm a firefighter paramedic with Center Ospey Fire. I also work for Wentworth Douglas Hospital as an anesthesia tech.
Back in December of 2023, did you have a different job?
Yes, I was
And what
working.
job- Oops, I'm sorry.
I was working for Action Ambulance as a paramedic.
And we just heard from the other witness who was an EMT. Is a paramedic different from an EMT?
Yes.
And if you can explain the differences generally for us.
Okay. So as a paramedic, I can give more drugs. I can do more skills than an EMT can. An EMT is basic life-saving needs, whereas a paramedic is advanced life-saving needs.
And is it fair to say you've had more training as a paramedic than you have as an EMT?
A lot more training.
About when did you begin work as a paramedic? About
6 to 8 years ago.
And is it a profession that you're still engaged in? You still
Yes.
certified?
Yes.
I want to turn your attention specifically to the morning of December 17th of 2023. Did you and other members of Action Ambulance respond to 332 Water Village Road in Ossipee for a call for service?
Yes, sir.
And we're going to talk about that call for service shortly. Was the call documented in any way by Action Ambulance?
Yes, sir.
And how was it documented?
Every call we go on needs a patient care report, so it's an electronic file.
And who actually completed the patient care report in this case?
I did.
Did you also speak to law enforcement investigators about the call for service?
Yes, sir.
And when was that interview that you had with law enforcement?
Later on that afternoon.
And have you had a chance to review an audio recording of your interview with law enforcement?
Yes, sir.
And also a transcript that was recently given to you?
Yes, sir.
Had you recalled that particular call out before you reviewed the transcript in your recorded interview?
I remember certain things from that, but the more detailed things, I got recollection from the recording and the transcript.
And was there also details contained in your patient care report?
Yes, sir.
So with respect to the particular call for service at 332 Water Village Road, I want to start at the point that you and other medical providers encountered an injured female, okay?
Yes, sir.
And where was that injured female when you first saw her?
She was laying on the floor with her head towards the doorway and her feet more towards the inside of the residence.
And was anyone with her that you saw?
Yes. A male.
Did you see anyone else in the room besides the injured female, the male with her, and the 3 other medical providers with you?
Not inside the residence.
So while the treatment was going on, it was the medical providers, the female, and the male with her?
Correct.
Did you recognize either the injured female or the male who was with her?
No, sir.
With respect to the male in the room with that injured female, would you recognize him if you saw him again?
Possibly.
Do you think you see him here in the court?
I don't believe so right now. Not to my recollection.
Fair enough. So I'm going to refer to him as the male, okay?
Okay.
What was the injured female's condition when you and the other medical providers started treating her?
She was not conscious, not breathing. She did not have a pulse.
What was your role in the treatment provided to that injured female?
So I had to oversee all of the treatments that were being provided, as well as do other treatments. So I was instructing all of the other providers to do certain tasks to try and revive her. And then I was doing other tasks like getting an IO, giving her medications, stuff like that.
And the jurors actually heard from the previous witness about what an IO is, so they know what that is. What kind of medications were you given to the injured female?
Epinephrine,
And
1 to 10,000.
What is epinephrine?
It's adrenaline
And what's the purpose of it?
to try and help restart your heart.
Did it ever do that?
No, sir.
Did you do that more than once, administer adrenaline?
Yes, sir. We gave her 6 doses.
Do you remember doing a check for blood sugar?
Yes, sir.
And what was the purpose of that?
So when your blood sugar is abnormally low, that can also be a reason that the patient's not conscious, not breathing, and does not have a pulse. So if we can rectify a low blood sugar, it increases our chance of saving the person.
And what was the result of the blood sugar test?
It was normal for us.
What about the other medical providers who were also trying to revive the woman? What kind of treatment were they giving that you remember?
So they were doing CPR, and we were providing bag breathing for her. So we have to give her respiration since she's not breathing for herself.
The male that you saw with the female, was he in the room the entire time that this treatment was going on?
Yes, sir.
And do you recall speaking with the male?
Yes, sir.
And why were you speaking with the male? What was the purpose of speaking to him?
So to get bystander information, such as when the last time they saw the patient conscious and breathing is a big thing. Also finding out if they're on any medications, and things of that sort.
And is that all to help you try to help the injured person?
Yes, sir.
With respect to questions that you asked of the man to help your treatment of that injured woman, did you ask him about timing of her injuries?
Yes, sir.
And what do you recall the male's response to that meeting?
He said the last time he saw her conscious breathing with a pulse was 15 to 30 minutes ago.
Did you ask the man about any injuries that you saw on the female that you were treating?
Yes, sir.
And what do you recall about that conversation?
He said they get into physical altercations frequently, and that he does not want to continue saying anything else, so he does not incriminate himself.
And were there any injuries in particular that you were asking about when that response came out?
We were looking at her right eye, which was bruised and swollen shut, as well as bruising to her abdomen, which were significant for us.
So you were asking about those injuries, and the male's response was that he would not incriminate himself?
Yes, sir.
Incriminate, is that a word that he actually used, or is that your
Yes. Nope, that is a word he used.
And he also said that they get in physical fights all the time?
Correct.
Do you remember him also saying that he's a victim too, or claiming that?
Yes, sir.
You said that you also noticed some bruising to the woman's abdomen area.
Yes, sir.
From what you saw with respect to her abdomen, putting aside your training and experience, just from what you saw as a human, what did you believe her condition to be?
It appeared that she was pregnant.
And do you remember the man in the room, him saying anything about the woman's abdomen or potential pregnancy?
Yes, sir.
And what do you recall about that?
He said that she's unable to get pregnant, that they've had tests done, and the tests stated she's unable to get pregnant, and that her stomach had been like that for approximately 2 to 3 months.
And these various statements, were they recorded in your PCR and also in your interview with the police?
They were definitely recorded in my interview. I don't recall if they were entered into my PCR.
Do you recall that man saying anything else while you and the other members of the ambulance crews were trying to save the woman's life?
He was asking for his phone, which was towards her head, which we were unable to get to at that time because we were trying to save her life.
Was that something he was somewhat insistent upon?
Yes, sir.
So he was asking about his cell phone. Did he ever ask anything about the condition of the woman whose life you and the other medical providers were trying to save?
Not to my recollection.
For about how long did you and the other medical providers try to revive that injured woman?
Approximately 20 minutes.
And did her condition ever change during that time?
No, sir.
Did she ever regain consciousness?
No, sir.
Ever regain breathing on her own?
No, sir.
Ever get a heartbeat?
No, sir.
One moment. I have no further questions. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Is it Ms. Haberman?
Yes.
I want to say it right. Haberman?
Yes.
Okay. So when you arrived, and we've talked about this with the prior witness, but the man that you saw was actively doing CPR.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So CPR is trying to save her life, doing chest compressions.
Yes, ma'am.
And he continued to do that until you all asked him to move out of the way so that you could take over.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, I think you've said to officers that the man was emotionally distraught.
Yes, ma'am.
That was when you got there, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And kind of throughout the whole time that your team was working on this zone.
Yes, ma'am.
He was crying, right?
I do not recall.
You don't recall if he was crying. He was extremely upset, though.
Yes, ma'am.
Fair to say. And he was kind of pacing in the small space that he had.
Yes, ma'am.
And now, the prosecutor just asked you if he ever asked anything about her condition. Do you recall that?
Yes, ma'am.
And you said no?
Yes, ma'am.
But he actually kept asking you if she was going to make it, right?
I do not recall.
Would showing a copy of the transcript of your interview refresh your recollection?
Yes, ma'am.
Page 11. So Ms. Haberman, I'm just going to ask you to read this to yourself, not out loud, and then look up at me when you're done.
Okay.
All set?
Yes, ma'am.
Does that refresh your recollection as to whether he ever asked you if she was going to make it?
Yes, ma'am.
And he kept doing that, right?
Yes.
He kept asking you that.
Yes.
in the back of the residence while your team was working on Miss Falzone?
Yes, ma'am.
And we've talked about this before, I won't belabor the point, but there was not much room that he had, right?
There was not hardly any room.
Okay. Pretty narrow
Yes,
space,
ma'am.
even for you all to work.
Yes, ma'am.
And so he could not get out, right?
No.
He couldn't really go anywhere.
No.
Definitely couldn't get any air or kind of go get a little break, anything like that. Okay. And he's watching you all try to revive his girlfriend.
Yes, ma'am.
And it's not working, right?
Correct.
So he's still distraught that whole time.
Yes, ma'am.
And there's nothing that he can do, right? He can't jump in there.
No.
Okay. I asked your colleague, and he wasn't sure what the rest of you were wearing. So were you also wearing a uniform that day?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. What can you tell us what that uniform looked like?
Depending on the weather, I assume it was cold that day.
Okay.
Usually we'll wear what's called a job shirt, which is a quarter zip, long pants and boots.
Okay. So this quarter zip, does it have any like insignia or logo or anything like that?
Depending on the person, yes.
Let me ask you this. Is it kind of a uniform though?
It's part of a uniform, yes, ma'am.
Okay. Is there
It's
anything
for colder weather.
Is there anything else that goes along with the uniform that's recognizable as a uniform?
A radio sometimes.
Okay. You've got radios. Is that on your hips?
Sometimes they're on radio straps is what we call them.
Okay. Do you recall, and it's okay if you don't, whether your other colleagues were also wearing uniforms that day?
They were definitely wearing uniforms.
Okay.
I do not recall specifically what they were wearing.
Okay. That's fair enough. Thank you. So we talked about kind of the situation he's in. He's stuck in the back of this residence. He can't go anywhere. And you said he asks for his phone, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. He can't get his phone at that moment, right?
Correct.
He can't reach it.
No, ma'am.
It's not in a place where anyone could get it for him.
We could have gotten it for him, but we were actively trying to save her life.
Okay. So let me ask you this. It's not uncommon for someone who is distraught at the scene of an emergency to want to make a call, is it?
It is not uncommon for them to try and call.
Okay. And, so, to try to reach out to someone for support, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And he said that he was trying to call his landlord, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Do you know what his relationship with his landlord was like?
I do not know what their relation was.
Okay.
No.
So you don't know if they were actually friends too, right?
Correct. I don't know.
And you don't know if Mr. Kelly had any family he could have reached out to, right?
Correct.
Okay. So this is someone that actually lived on the property with him, right? Or did you learn that at some point?
That is news to me.
Okay. But again, you don't know if they were close friends.
Correct.
Okay. And if they were close friends, Mr. Kelly wanting to call him wouldn't be unusual at all, right?
Correct.
Okay. Now, when you told him you couldn't get his phone, he said okay. He didn't want to get in your way, right?
I do not recall.
Okay. That's fine. So, your team's asking him questions, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And that's still in the same situation we just talked about with him sort of stuck in the back of that residence,
Yes, ma'am.
right? And this is pretty chaotic, isn't it?
Very chaotic.
Very chaotic, a lot of emotion, right?
Yes, ma'am.
A lot of activity,
Yes, ma'am.
a lot of noise, right? Machines, things like that.
A little bit of noise,
Okay.
yes.
You all trying to talk to each other,
Yes, ma'am.
and then also trying to talk to him.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, you talked to the prosecutor about some of the statements he made, and I want to be really clear. And I want to ask you about this statement about not incriminating himself.
Yes, ma'am.
So that was an answer to a specific question you asked, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And that was specifically about her eyes.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. That was not an answer of what happened today, right?
Today?
Right. So let me ask that again. That was not his answer to a question such as what happened here today, right?
Correct.
Okay. And you mentioned the statement that they get into physical fights often.
Yes, ma'am.
You believed and you perceived that comment as a general comment, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Not him saying that they had gotten into a physical fight that morning.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And he never said that they had gotten into a physical fight that morning, right?
Correct.
Okay. You testified that he said that he had last seen her 15 to 30 minutes ago. I want to ask you a little about that.
Yes, ma'am.
You asked him that question to try to determine when she was last alive and well, right?
Yes, ma'am.
I don't know if you asked. Were you the one that asked him that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And your partner, Emma Quint, was also there?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And so your recollection is that he said that he had seen her 15 to 30 minutes prior or prior to calling 911?
I do not recall.
Okay.
I would believe it to be 15 to 30 minutes prior, and then he recognized that she was not around and then located her and then made the call.
Okay, right. So just to be clear, your understanding is 15 to 30 minutes before he called for help. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I want to make sure.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. The bruising on Miss Falzone's body, I just want to ask you a couple questions about that. Is it fair to say those bruises were kind of different colors?
Yes, ma'am.
Some were darker, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Some were a little lighter?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and that suggests to you that they were in various states of healing, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And you can't say yourself whether a certain bruise was from that day, right?
Correct.
Okay, or from the day before?
Correct.
Or even a few days old?
Correct.
The residence that you were in, I know you made some notes about it in the patient care report. To your recollection, it was essentially like a small shed or shack, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And it was one room from what you could see.
It appeared to be, when we entered, to be like a kitchen / hallway,
Okay.
and then it appeared to be like a little bit of a room down the hallway a little bit.
Okay.
It wasn't a big residence,
Okay.
though.
Let me ask you this, though. You could see a bed, right?
Towards the end of the hallway.
And it was on the floor, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And there was a lot of other stuff, right? It was very cluttered.
Very cluttered.
Okay. And we said this before, very, very tight quarters for you to work.
Yes, ma'am.
And there were plenty of obstacles and hazards that you had to be aware of all over.
Yes, ma'am.
One of the things that you observed was that Miss Falzone's left eye was dilated. Do you recall that?
Yes, ma'am.
And that means it was sort of like bulging a little bit?
No. So dilating means your pupil will be bigger in size
I see.
versus constricted.
And that indicated to you that she had suffered some sort of head trauma?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. But you didn't see a specific head injury, right?
Other than her bruised and swollen eye,
Okay.
we did not notice anything significant.
Okay. And that doesn't mean there wasn't one there, right? But your focus
Yes,
was
ma'am.
on resuscitating, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Ms. Huberman, you don't know Mr. Kelly, right?
Correct.
You, and I guess you weren't able to identify him, so we're just talking about the male in the room. You don't know that man, right?
I don't know him.
Okay.
I only saw him the one day for a very short period of time.
Okay. Had never met him before that day.
Correct.
Okay. You don't know anything about him. Either.
Correct.
And you don't know how he responds to emotion or trauma or anything like that, right?
Correct.
And you've responded to a lot of emergencies.
I have.
Okay. So I assume you've dealt with a lot of people in traumatic situations.
I have.
And that includes patients, right?
Yes, ma'am.
That includes family members.
Yes, ma'am.
That includes people who are in shock.
Yes, ma'am.
Also people who are in denial.
Yes, ma'am.
Everybody is different, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And everybody responds differently to trauma.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I think that's all of the questions I have for you.
And in all of those possibly hundreds of situations where you ask somebody how somebody has received certain injuries, have you ever gotten a response like, I'm not going to incriminate myself?
No, sir.
Recross? Thank you very much.
May this witness be released?
Yes, Ms. Haberman, I thank you very much, and you are free to step down if you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a nice day. Everyone, I think this would be an opportune time for us to take a short afternoon break. We'll take another 15-minute break. We'll come back at 2:45, and we'll go for about an hour after that, so that we can be sure to get everybody on their way home by 4 o'clock. So I will see you then, and you all know what I'm about to tell you, right? Don't discuss the case amongst yourselves or with anyone else. Don't look up anything about the case. Don't read anything about the case. Don't listen to anything about the case. And we'll see you in at quarter of, well, let's say 10 of, given where we are at. Yeah, we'll see you at 10 minutes to 3. Thank you very much, everybody.
All rise for the church.
Judge.
Yep, sure.
I also have a scheduling update.
Okay. Yeah, I was pondering staying around, but change my mind. I'm glad you brought me.
So just for reference, Your Honor, so the last witness we have here today is Michael Andres. We have, I think, moved a little quicker than we expected.
That's okay.
I don't know that his testimony is going to be very long. Maybe I direct 10 minutes.
Okay.
I don't know how long Cross is, but we don't have any other additional witnesses here today.
Yeah, all right. Well, I'm not going to penalize anybody for moving faster than we had originally planned. So thanks for letting us know that. Anything?
And then if when the jury returns, Your Honor could read the first of the stipulations.
Okay. Sure, I'm not. Okay, I will read that. Thank you for giving me that heads up. If that's when you're going to use that, I will read that, and I will give the. Has that been filed, or was that just the invitation? Because I don't have it with me.
Case, I can this afternoon.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that I have it. Can I see counsel at the bench? Oh, here it is. Yeah.
I do have a paper copy.
Okay. Yeah, you can see me at the bench. I do see it.
All right.
Stipulation, is that correct? I'll do that before you call on your next witness.
Yes.
Okay, very good. All right. Bring the drawers in. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. You may be seated. So before we proceed with the next witness, the parties have asked me to read something to you that is called a stipulation. You'll remember this morning I described for you, explained for you, the two main kinds of evidence that you receive in a trial. First is witness testimony, and the second is exhibits. What I'm about to read to you is a stipulation, and a stipulation is also evidence. It is an agreement between the prosecution and the defense that a certain fact is true, and you must accept that fact as true where it's been stipulated like this. So in this case, the parties have stipulated that Christine Falzone was the deceased woman at 332 Water Village Road in Ossipee on December 17, 2023. So that is the fact that the parties have stipulated to, and as I explained, that's something that you are to accept as true. So with that, the state may call its next witness.
State calls Michael Andres.
Sir, would you please raise your hand? Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you give in this case will be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Counsel?
And if you could just start, please, by introducing yourself and spelling your name for the court reporter, please.
It's Trooper Michael Andres, Michaelandres.
You said you're a trooper. Who do you work for?
I work for the New Hampshire State Police out of Troop E.
Where's Troop E?
Troop E is located in Tamworth, New Hampshire.
How long have you worked for Troop E?
So I've been employed with the state police since April 13th, 2018.
Did you have any law enforcement experience before that?
Prior to that, I served in the United States Army for 5 years as military police.
And what is your specific position within Troop E?
My position is the troop detective.
What is a troop detective? What does that involve?
So a troop detective handles investigations in the counties that the troop resides in. So for us, it's Carroll and Belknap counties. We also assist the major crime unit throughout the state of New Hampshire.
What is the major crime unit?
Major crime units located out of Concord. They handle primarily homicides that occur in the state of New Hampshire.
And in what situations would you assist the major crime unit with an investigation?
I assist throughout the state, whether it's my troop or any other location throughout the state, typically with homicides or assaults investigations.
I want to direct your attention specifically to December 17th of 2023. On that day, did you assist the major crime unit with an investigation into the homicide of Christine Falzone at 332 Water Village Road in Austin?
Yes, I did.
And was one of your assigned tasks on that day, December 17th, to transport a male named William Kelly from that address in Ossipee to the Troop E barracks?
Yes, it was.
Did you transport him to the barracks that day?
Yes, I did.
About how long of a drive is it from 332 Water Village Road to the barracks?
Approximately 20 minutes.
And do you see Mr. Kelly here in the courtroom today?
Yes, I do.
Could you just point him out for us and identify something he's wearing?
Sitting here with the blue shirt and tie on the defendant table.
As the record reflects, he's identified the defendant.
It will so reflect.
At the time you transported the defendant to the barracks, was he under arrest?
No, he was not.
Was he being detained?
Yes, he was.
Can you explain for us the difference between being under arrest and being detained?
When under arrest, you're charged with a crime. under detention or being detained, not formally charged with a crime, just in custody.
And as you drove to the Troop E barracks, where did the defendant sit inside your cruiser?
He sat in my front seat, my front passenger seat.
Was he in handcuffs?
No, he was not.
Did he ask you at one point if he was under arrest?
Yes, he did.
Did you explain that he was being detained?
Yes, I did.
Was he upset about that?
He was a little argumentative about the fact.
Can you describe that for us?
He questioned, he stated that he was under arrest. I explained to him he was being detained. He asked why he couldn't be detained at the house, why he had to be transported away from the house. I explained this is common procedures that we do with these investigations. And then he brought up examples of if there was a robbery at a gas station, would we detain and transport everyone on scene? I explained no, that this was different from a robbery. This was a homicide investigation. This was common practice, and I was also doing what I am told to do.
So during that 20-minute drive to the barracks, initially he's upset about being detained. Does his tone change during the course of that drive?
Yes.
How so?
I would say approximately halfway through, he stopped questioning the detainment or arrest situation and instead just talked in normal conversation.
Did he seem to be calmer at that point?
Yes, he was calm.
Did he indicate that he was worried about anything back at his residence at 332 Water Village Road?
Yes, he said he was worried about his dog and the space heaters that he had plugged in.
And what was his demeanor like at that point?
He was calm.
Did you make additional small talk with the defendant as you drove back to the barracks?
Yes, we continued small talk. We spoke about him growing up in the area and how he's prior experience with law enforcement and some of the individuals that we are acquaintance of in the area.
And by the time you get back to the barracks, does the defendant still seem calm and relaxed?
Yes, he was.
Is he actually joking with you by the time you get back?
Yes, he was.
Can you describe that for us?
When we're about to enter into the barracks parking lot, he did make a joke referring, asking if he was going to be thrown in a jail cell and tortured, and it appeared to be in a joking manner. And I explained to him no, he was going to continue not to be handcuffed. He would allow to be used the bathroom, smoke cigarettes as he pleased.
And what did you do after you and the defendant got to Troop E?
Got to Troop E, he smoked some cigarettes outside, and then escorted him inside the barracks into the interview room where he sat with another trooper.
And after you left the defendant with this other trooper, did that end your interaction with him at that point?
No, it did not.
After you left that interview room, did you then go on to perform additional investigative tests away from the defendant?
Later, yes, I did.
One moment, Judge. That's all I have for now. Thank you.
Thanks, sir.
Cross-examination?
All right, a few questions, Trooper Andres, you
Yes, sir.
understand? All right, so you were an MP for how many years? 5 years?
5 years, yes, sir.
All right. This is a joke. You really let yourself go, huh?
Thank you, sir.
All right. So now they call you in to do assist with special investigations with the state police.
Yes, sir.
Okay. On this particular case, were you the lead investigator?
No, I was not.
Okay. Do you know who the lead investigator was?
I don't recall at this moment.
I do have your
apologize.
reports here, if that would help. I don't know if you can tell from your reports, because I'm trying to figure out just who the person who makes all the shots is.
Okay, I can attempt to look. And look
All right,
at
if
that
you can
for
tell
sir.
real quick, I'm not going to waste their time.
Okay,
with it.
yes, sir.
My approach is just
Ben.
Yep.
Thanks, sir.
You can just give me the nod if it's not readily apparent. I don't want to push you through.
I don't recall, and I can't readily find it without wasting their time.
So it's fair to say, though, thank you. You weren't the man or woman directing the investigation.
No, I was not.
Okay. So as far as calls of what further investigation was done, what evidence would be collected, different avenues of investigation, you're not the individual who determined the course of the investigation in that manner.
No, I'm not.
Okay. you were given specific tasks and you accomplished those tasks.
Yes, sir.
All right. And one of those tasks, or the primary task that you had, was driving Mr. Kelly to Troop E.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And aside from the maybe a mistaken impression that people have, your job is not to be gruff with people that are even detained, right? In other words, not to give them a hard time, be rough, be intimidating. It's not to be that, right?
Yes, correct, sir.
Okay. Sometimes you have to be gruff and intimidating if you're doing crowd control or trying to maintain order, right?
Yes, sir.
Because that's part of the thing, being intimidating so that people accede to your authority immediately.
Presence, yes, sir.
Okay. But when you're escorting somebody to Troop E, you don't have that persona on. Your attempt, am I correct, is to be professional?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And to talk with people in a conversational manner.
Yes, sir.
All right. So this gentleman finds himself in a police car with you.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And legal distinctions or otherwise, he's not free to go.
Correct.
Okay. And he asks you questions about that. I can't leave, right? He asked you that type of question?
He asked if he was under arrest, yes, sir.
Okay. And you had the legal discussion with him and told him some of the differences between being detained and being arrested?
Yes, sir.
All right. And he did not get aggressive with you as far as there was no name calling?
No, sir.
Okay. He didn't insult you in any way?
No, sir.
All right. He didn't raise a voice and get aggressive with you?
No, sir.
Okay. But he did get into a legal discussion with you about what that meant?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And after he had that legal discussion with you about what this means, the difference between detention and arrest, then he started to scale down when you gave him that explanation?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And that's in part in response to your professionalism, right? You answered his questions?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you maintained that professional demeanor, which was entirely gained to be civil with him?
Yes, sir.
And I imagine one of the reasons, aside from just professionalism, is you want to have a relationship with detainees where they're willing to talk about what happened.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Because the gold standard in any type of investigation is a conversation.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And he spoke with you in the car?
In the car, yes.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
And in the car as well, even your demeanor with him worked well enough that he felt comfortable even in these dire circumstances of joking with you.
It appeared so, yes, sir.
Okay. So it seemed like as far as the goal of that which prescribes your professional conduct, you were successful in creating the type of rapport with him that you set out to.
I believe so, yes, sir.
You did write the search warrant affidavit in this case?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And that's necessary because whenever you go through people's things or search their body, you need a judge to say it's okay to do that.
Yes, sir.
Okay, except for rare circumstances.
Yes, sir.
And in this circumstance, you had time to do that, so you filled out a big report telling a judge why you wanted to, preserve evidence from the property and why you wanted to, microscopically go over every bit of his body.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you did those things?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And in your affidavit, you explained some of the reasons why you do that so that you can be aware of whether there's any evidence of a crime.
Yes, sir.
Okay. In one of the paragraphs as well, you talk about being aware that people who commit crimes attempt to clean up after themselves by removing evidence, destroying evidence, arranging things to look as if no crime has been committed, and cleaning up blood and other materials that may contain evidence of a crime.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Did you find any kind of evidence like that of somebody trying to cover up a crime?
I was not part of the crime scene crew that went and executed the search warrant of the residence, sir.
Oh, okay. So you asked for it saying, hey, this type of stuff can be found.
Yes, sir.
But you don't know whether it was?
I do not know, sir.
Okay. You didn't end up on that end of the investigation?
Correct, sir.
Okay. You were present for an interview with Mr. Falzone in this case?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And he talked about some phones that he had given to Christine?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, about acquiring records for those phones, would that be your call, or would that be this lead investigator who we're not quite certain of?
typically would be the lead investigator, sir.
Okay. So in this case, you did not seek to basically crack her phones, dive into her phone, see what kind of contact she had?
Yes, sir. I did not.
Okay. But as we're saying, it might not have been your call whether to do that.
Correct, sir.
Okay. And as far as investigating any possible relationships, associates, other people that Ms. Falzone could have been involved with, did you do any of that?
No, sir.
Okay. But that's, as we're talking, that's because you weren't directed to do that.
Correct, sir. Yes,
All
sir.
right. Not your independent call.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So is it fair to say you were not given any tasks in order to investigate or determine if any other individual may have committed this offense?
No, I was not, sir.
You were just given the task, bring this guy to the station, right?
Yes, sir.
And get the paperwork that makes it appropriate that we can look through his stuff and everything on his body.
Yes, sir.
And then you were sent out to, take recorded interviews of a few witnesses.
Yes, sir.
All right. Is that fair about what your involvement was on this case?
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Nothing additional, thank you.
Thank you. So you may step down, you're free to go.
Thank you. Thank you, Your Honor.
And we're all
So
ready for the day?
we have moved a little quicker than
That's fine.
expected. That is our last witness we have here today.
Okay, all right, so ladies and gentlemen, you did us the favor of coming in a half hour early today, so we're gonna let you go home a little earlier. I'm very pleased that we've made good progress on our first day of the trial, so you'll be able to go home in just a minute. I will ask you to come back tomorrow, 10 o'clock? Okay, so please be back ready to start up again at 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. Bailiffs will give you your instructions. My instructions to you will be as already familiar to you. Overnight, don't look up anything about the case. Don't read anything about the case. Don't watch any news about the case, social media about the case. Don't discuss the case amongst yourselves or with anyone else. And it's got to include your family and friends. Again, just to make sure that your decision will be based only on what, I don't know if there are any other outside influences that I haven't mentioned, but if any come to your attention, you are to ignore them, focus only on the evidence in the case. I thank all of you again for your time and your attention today and your hard work, and we will see you tomorrow morning. Have a great evening.
All right, sure.
Okay, anything for us to discuss before we come back?
No, thank you.
You've got your lineup for tomorrow?
Yes.
All set? Okay, I thank everybody, and we'll see you tomorrow morning.
Thank you.
All rise.